on May 25th and 2023, and we will call this meeting to order. So Mayor Pro Tem Villalobos is not here yet, but she's on her way. Councilmember McGovern.
Here.
Councilmember Styler is not here. Councilmember McLeod.
Here.
Councilmember Clinton.
Here.
And I am Mayor Gleis. So we will go ahead and say the pledge of
And we
allegiance.
have a quorum.
We don't need a quorum.
It's a workshop.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And then I'll say the invocation. Unless, would you like to say the invocation today?
Go ahead.
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this meeting today, for this workshop today. And Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us the time to do this. Thank you for the council members who are here and for the guests who are here. And Lord God, we just ask that our meeting is productive and that you guide our words and our actions and just give us discernment as to how to govern. And we just always thank you for the gift of salvation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah. Amen. By the way, Mayor, thank you for Lockhart Street. Very well done.
Thank you.
Now, we got a road done. You see that, Jeff? We have finished our road in Martin.
Oh, that's the finished road now?
That's the finished road.
I didn't know where they were on there.
That's done. Chips, it's finished.
Chip seal is done.
Yeah.
We're on top of theirs.
So
That's great.
we had put the mobile home issue first, but maybe we should go to the parks since we have a guest who wants to speak on the parks. So we wanted to tighten up a lot of our ordinances about the parks. And our guest today is Tom Goins, and he wanted to give us some history at Councilmember McLeod's request about the history at Scull Crossing. So I'm gonna let you talk first.
Okay, I mean, it was 2021, wasn't it? Or 2011, I think. At that time, Allen Bates Forest was only 1 acre, but there was another acre of land that was available. The city needed $60,000 or something to buy that acre. Boy, nowadays, it costs a lot more than that. But anyway, also, the county commissioner in Wellington County, Mr. Guadarrama, told Martindale that if they would buy that acre, the county of Wellington would give the land it had in its possession. I'm not sure how that happened. I guess it was a gravel pit and they owned it. It was owned by Wellington County, except for some of the land that Cochran had a deed to. It was kind of messy. But as I understand it, because we came up with $30,000. That was the Texas River Protection Association. San Juan River Foundation came up with a couple of thousand. I think the Wellington River DVRA Trust, they have a nonprofit. I think they came up with about 10,000. The city was close enough that they were able to get a loan and buy the land outright. So at the last minute, Allen Bates Park doubled in size.
Oh, wow.
And we were promised at that time, and of course, regimes change, but we were told by the mayor at that time was
Probably Lorraine.
Lorraine.
and the council. They said, well, if you would do that, they would try to see to it that Scull's Crossing remained open as a takeout for canoeists, because we were a group of canoeists that came up with the half of the money. Now, I realize that where we're getting out is on Michelle and Steve's property, which isn't in the city limits, right?
Right.
And we knew that at the time. But at the time, that if you're coming from the west side and heading toward Martindale, the only road that was open at that time was the one going left, and the right road was just a gravel road. And the city said, we will let you use that road for parking and for a loading unloading zone. We assumed at that time that the city owned, or the county, had the parking area up top where we were parking. And the main thing we were gonna use that closed road for was loading and unloading. So you could kind of get close to the river, and you still had to carry your boats across and put them on your trailer. Eventually, the city decided they really needed to reopen that road, because if you came across the bridge and went left, it's hard to make a right turn. So they opened the road going left. Personally, I understand that. I have heard now there's truck issues, there's all kinds of other
In
issues.
fact, today, Tommy, I was coming from 621, crossing Sculls Road, and a gravel truck, 18 wheeler, literally took both lanes of the bridge. I had to stop. And he went over, he went down the left side, he went down and was over in the other lane, as we discussed.
I know there's lots of issues about what to do with that
Yeah.
road, but the city did pass an ordinance, and you sent it to me, the sign, that said that would be a loading and unloading. That is in May. Since then.
What, do you know what year that was again, the ordinance?
2011. I'll put that up on there, please. 2011.
Oh,
Okay.
that's what you were looking for?
I was looking for a separate attachment, not that one.
Okay, yeah, excuse me, go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Since then, since the little triangle got closed, I went to Michelle and Steve, and I asked them if, first of all, if they could continue to allow people to take out on their little peninsula. And I told her we can try to get Parks and Wildlife involved, because they basically pay us a monthly lease, and we allow people to launch canoes, kayaks, and to fish at our campground. So I got Parks and Wildlife in the mix. And we even had Scott Jecker, because if they didn't want to do it, he might. So we had all these people. And Michelle said, well, we could do that and sign a lease with Parks and Wildlife, and that could be a takeout. But we need a parking area, because we can't park where we've been parking. And so they offered to fence off an area and put in a gate. But they didn't want to operate, they didn't want to be the ones responsible for giving out the combination. So that's when I had to raise my hand. So we're the keepers of the combination. And we've been giving out to some groups already, even though it's not officially open because they haven't got the signs up. But people just drive up, punch in the combination, the gate opens, they park. And then they do the shuttle. When they get off the river, they walk to their car, but at least they're not having to cross the bridge. So it's much safer for them than just walking up to their car, which is just past the old Scull's house. Get in the car, drive down, load it up, and they're out. Parks and Wildlife is gonna have rules like no parking, it's for loading and unloading only. I They can have no alcohol. I'm asking if they can do that. Don't know if they can have the can ban since I don't know, but if they can just say no cans, I'd love that. It's in your ETJ, so I don't know if that.
Yeah.
No, it's right, the law, the ordinance does not
It's in
say.
the city limits.
Anyway, they will say no alcohol because the landowner gets to make certain calls. Whether or not Michelle can actually say no disposable containers, maybe she can. So Parks and Wildlife works with the landowner and puts the signs up. And hopefully we will not have, it's not gonna be a place to put up a canopy. You can't block off an area and claim this is your spot. It's supposed to be for fishing on foot and for launching, taking out canoes and kayaks. So it's not really even supposed to be for swimming. It's not a park. It's supposed to be an access point.
Mhm.
Enforcing that, we realize that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, who's gonna, is Texas Parks and Wildlife gonna enforce that?
They come into my place all the time because of the tubing. Whether or not, Ms. Garza can enforce that. I do know if they can include it as a Parks and Wildlife law, as I understand it, any lawman can write the ticket, and then that city would get, I think it's 25% of the revenue from that ticket. So any lawman can write a Parks and Wildlife violation. I'm just not sure how strict they've been about enforcing
We get
like
hang.
the no alcohol thing. In my campground, if they're launching canoes or kayaks or fishing, we say no alcohol. And that may be on me and not on Parks and Wildlife. So that's one of those unknowns. But they can definitely have no parking, loading, unloading only. And I think they can, we can tell people no canopy. It's when people start setting up canopies, barbecue pits. I mean, the whole beach can be unusable. Nobody can launch or take out there.
Mhm.
So that's really important in our campground. We just like to say no canopy. If you do use lawn chair, you gotta be able to move quick.
Ask her, just,
As I understand it, Parks and Wildlife Code states that any lawman in Texas can write a ticket for a violation of a Parks and Wildlife rule, and then that entity, like the city of Martindale, would get something like 25% of the revenue on that ticket. Have you ever?
Well, it depends on what kind of violation you're talking about. But they have, you got to be a certified marine safety enforcement officer to write tickets on the water and so forth, and that all comes into play. I am, but that's how that all works out, and then you got to work
So
with the
if
courts.
somebody didn't have a life jacket, for instance,
Correct, you got to be a marine safety enforcement officer to write those citations.
do you have that?
Yes,
Do our officers have that?
just me.
if they had a rule, say at that takeout, that said no alcohol,
That's
Okay.
not a Parks and Wildlife, that's just a rule, and that would just be for their position, we couldn't write that.
so that would take, if the game warden could write the ticket, that would be the one that would do that.
Correct.
And we only have no alcohol for the square footage of the parks
The park itself,
and not in the riverbank or in the river.
correct.
Okay.
I didn't realize all that history.
Oh, also, Mr. Goins, how long has that been a parking lot for the canoers? I've been here for over 40 years. It's always been.
Yeah, I started, coming in 67, and that was always a parking area, so.
And wouldn't you say in your opinion, that's probably, especially in low water years, that stretch from your property or the city of San Marcos to Sculls is probably the most popular canoeing stretches in the state.
Popular stretch.
It's one of the most popular.
I wasn't aware that there's so many bicycles.
TV is popular.
Bicyclists go there and use it as well.
So what was wrong? After I got assaulted at the Allen Bates Park, I started going to the bridge there at Scull Road, and I take my dog down and swim, and I didn't set up any canopies. We all parked up top, we all walked down, and people would drive their cars and stuff and unload their canoes, and they didn't park there, they came back. What was wrong with the way that we had it? What was wrong with that system?
Well, after COVID, a lot of people discovered, and cities were closing their parks.
Yeah.
Then people were looking for places to go to get into the river and just have something to do with their families. And so they started, it got where there were more than just canoeists and fishermen. It was a lot of people that were just going and pitching tents in the river. And it just got that there were so many people parking up above on both sides of the road that it was dangerous.
And also when they park on the parking lot, a lot of times, and I've read this, not that I read the community discussion group all the time, but someone complained in the past how someone had just let their child either come up from the river or come down, and there was like a baby in diapers on the bridge. People are walking up and down across that bridge once they're up at the parking lot, walking down those two roads. And then if you have someone there offloading something and people walking, people carrying ice chests, people carrying tubes, it's very high traffic there.
Tommy, can you,
And what happens, you have longer vehicles, you have shorter vehicles, and that area, people who's coming there and park, you don't have limited space there. As soon as that space runs out, they're on the other side of the road. Now what you've done is you've created almost a one lane there, because your cars on this side, some longer cars on this side, people have to merge. It's just not a good situation unless you build on the front of that, make it a proper depth of a parking spot and proper width of a parking spot, and once you're sold out, that's it.
what would you think about shutting that road down to the right, making that parking?
One of them would be ideal,
The one-
but you only have one to deal with.
Just the one to going right, because, I know it's driving all the time. When you make that stop sign, you already got to cock your head to see that intersection.
You're talking about the downstream side.
Yeah, the downstream side. And like you said, in the past, that road was shut down. And for your concerns, Mr. Clinton, that could be an unloading on, people could walk down that way for a safety issue.
Well, still-
I would walk that way.
You could walk that.
Still, that other road is, okay,
We're talking about
yes,
revisions of the ordinances,
okay,
not so much about policy of how to address Scull
Okay,
Bridge.
okay.
Okay.
yes, sir.
We've already done this in the past, so if we would take a few minutes of our time to look over the revisions we had the last workshop and just, if there's any changes, or you like it or you don't,
Okay.
is that good with you guys?
Mhm.
So yeah, the first section was at the last workshop, we had comments about the hours of the park. Instead, this should be from 7 PM to 9 AM. That's where the closed hours are. Is there any changes that the room would like to discuss about the hours of the
Here's
park?
our old sign. Okay,
Real
so-
quick.
Except for I do think there was a question
No.
at hand that was coming up. It was,
I
should
remember.
we close one?
No, we should open up earlier, like it, people, if you want to ride a bicycle, a lot of people do go at 7 o'clock in the morning. I think we need to have an hour earlier, say 7.
Okay, so 7, 8.
Okay, so this, I'm just pointing out on the, is this the old ordinance number then, 58? This no longer applies?
No, now
Okay.
it's chapter
Okay,
193.
so 8 to 9 is what it said on the old sign, and also on the sign that we have made recently,
Oh,
this sign says
Oh.
8 to 9.
we can't, we don't want to.
So,
Which is.
That complies
accurate.
with this. The
Okay,
question
good.
is.
Oh, well, it's already done it.
but I mean, if someone's there at 7,
Well,
are
when
you
we
gonna write
did
them a
this,
ticket?
though, that was according to the ordinance.
Yeah,
So that looks like it changed.
But what if they come?
Yeah, what's that comment? Does that say 7 to 9?
That's the
Right.
proposed change.
That's what I said,
It
probably.
says closed to the public between 9 PM and 8 AM. That it says open from 8 AM to 9
Oh,
PM.
it's the reverse.
Right.
Oh,
So
Okay,
it's,
Okay.
you're reading it, it's a little bit different. But if Mike would like.
But we already got the sign, if we already got the sign.
but it's saying the same thing. It's just it's showing it when it's closed, not when it's
Okay.
open. But
The
that's
red mark on the right is what was discussed at the last workshop, what the community had wanted.
Yeah.
That's,
Going forward.
that's it's, when it's open.
It should be
7.
open, it should be open at sunrises.
And I agree, I think I said that, I think it should be opened up earlier and, up to daylight hours, which is,
7 a.m.
summertime.
to 9 PM.
I have no problem. To me, especially in the summertime, if you want to work out, man, you gotta get up, you gotta get up at 6 in the morning, do your thing, it gets hotter than hell. I think,
Sun's out by that time too.
7 would be better personally.
7
What do
to
you
9.
think, Tommy? No problem, because the mischievous things are gonna be after dark. We all know that.
That's the problem, is people stay too long.
Well, we shut her.
okay,
Okay.
now before we go on,
Yes, ma'am.
we were getting to a point where we were discussing closing one leg of the
Triangle?
Y, of the Y. Is that something that city council wants to do?
I don't think we should discuss that now. It's not on the agenda. We don't have, it's not a park and we don't have a
Okay,
full.
But
council here.
it is a workshop though.
It's a ordinance workshop revising the rules of the park.
That's not a park right now. That's what Mr. Rules and procedures over here.
But
Okay.
But it would
So
be,
we're not gonna go down that
we would like, I would like to have at least a small discussion about that.
We got so much.
Over the discussion about the ordinances, that was what brought up at the last council meeting.
We have enough to do to work on this now. If we start talking. about
Okay, I'll
that,
tell
it's
you
gonna
what,
take
if we
another
got
hour.
time towards the end of the meeting, maybe we'll talk about it. Go ahead, sorry.
Let's just run through the changes that were addressed at the last workshop.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so we're good with 7 AM to 9 PM?
Mhm.
All right, the next change,
So we are gonna change this sign then to 7.
all our signs will have to be changed. Exclusive use. So the language here was changed to exclusive use. There's a few comments I'd like to make on chapter 93.05. It's not very clear when you start talking about the city council shall set fees for charges of the park and recreational facilities. This is a frequently asked question
Yes,
at City Hall,
very much so.
where can I put a bouncy house in the city park? Can I put a water slide? Do you provide water? The ordinance only states that it does sell electricity, I guess, to the pub for exclusive use. Is that something the city wants to?
I think that's something that it has to be addressed because we do get asked. It's like,
Very
can
common.
we have a bouncy house in the park? And yeah, the last time it was, we want to have a water slide.
Is that considered then a special permit fee then?
Well, that's probably going to
That's-
be another discussion because,
You brought that up before, Jared. I don't know, doing special.
Yeah, there's two ways we can handle this. One is striking the language that city council shall set a fee and just plainly stating the fee.
what the.
So it says, we'll set, it's $10 or $20 for electric use by private individuals or group. We could do it that way within here, or we strike that provision entirely and we handle it through another event setting ordinance. I think if this is ready to go, we still have to write the other one. My recommendation would be set a fee in here. And then if we need to, in the subsequent ordinance, modify this so they're not in conflict, then we do.
Yeah,
that.
fix it. Yeah, we have to modify, but get it going,
Get it going.
get it going.
I would recommend no water park.
No water.
I mean, water's very expensive.
And we
You
also
never
need,
know when the water department's gonna set a different rate or a.
You know,
Charge for it. How much water are they taking?
Yeah.
They can read the meter at the beginning of the event and at the end, and we can
Oh,
see what the
that's
difference
a
is.
lot of.
Well,
If we start doing that, we need to charge accordingly. I mean, to set it up, I mean, $10 is too cheap. It needs to be more than that, especially if it's gonna be water involved.
What do you think is a fair rate just for?
Well, it depends, water without water. That's the
well,
question.
electric too, though, electric.
Well, electric is not that big a deal. The water is big.
I
And
would-
if you let those guys just put on that spigot, it's gonna cost you some money quickly.
We're in the,
Hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, so
Very quick.
I agree with the mayor. I don't know if we wanna do the water deal. They got a river down.
Well, is the water blocked? I mean, if someone just goes, if I just go to the park, can I turn on the water?
No,
No, it's
It's
locked.
locked, right?
well, it's got a dummy lock on it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be locked.
It appears to be locked.
Assuming it's locked. okay.
It is locked.
And is it responsible of us to do this? If we get into a drought, that's a waste of water.
All right,
we-
so I agree. Let's say no water.
No
If
water.
they want to be in the water,
Go in the river.
There's water there.
No water slides or,
There's no access to the water.
There you go.
Put a water slide with no water if they want, but. Just-
Right.
All right, so but we're good with the electricity.
Okay, so,
So what?
okay, wait a
would the fee
minute.
be
I
for
just got in, I just thought about something now.
Okay,
If these people are parking there, they're paying the $10. So there's another thing we gotta consider. If they have a blowout, if they're having a party for the kiddos and they're paying for parking, if we can establish that, I think we should give them, then we could reduce the rate.
well, it could be locals that live here that won't be paying anything, or they
Okay.
could be walking from their homes. So it's not always the case that just because someone's
So
there
what
having a
would,
party
what
that
what
you
would
think-
what would be a fair?
What are they asking for? You're saying to come in and are asking to put a bouncy house up?
yeah, so the electricity isn't gonna be
Nothing.
that much. I think
So
like a $10 or $15
So
fee.
usually the scenario is a mother calls, hey, it's my child's birthday.
Yeah.
Can I rent out the park or do I need a permit? Do I need to pay something to use the park for my child's birthday party?
I'm more
and if I can
worried
use
about
electricity.
liability.
And we want them to come in and sign a liability waiver when they do that.
when they pay, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Input?
Jeff, do you have something here?
I said before, you go to New Braunfels right now and you go try to park, it's $30.
Really?
$30.
No
You have to
kidding.
park anywhere for that, that's $30.
Today, because it's summer, right?
No, that's a year round.
Year round, $30.
That's what they
That's
charge.
for all day? They have a partial, they have okay.
The bouncy house cost 80 to 120. We just rented one, we're gonna rent one again at our house. So just so you know what they're paying to get that in there. Now, if they're paying for parking, that's great, but they can't close down the rest of the park just for their party.
That's right.
If we want to rent out the park, well.
So where would you put that bouncy house?
you-
Where would they have access to
So
electricity?
you want to identify like a certain spot at either one of the
Where it
parks
has to
where
be.
they have to be.
Probably on the other side of the trail, on the east side of the trail. where
Towards the
it's-
Walker house?
But it's spelled out here on the right side of the entrance between the swings and the parking lot cable. This is specified
Oh.
in A. This shows where that part of the park, and if you want to use that part of the park, which is the most considerate or the most constructive place to put the bouncy house, because it's between this slide. It's between the playground structure and the swings, right there in the middle. It's close to the outlet for the extension cord. And I think we need to put Allen Bates River Park in there and
So-
distinguish between, because this just says park facilities.
Let me, Jared, you're in law school now. I mean, I'm gonna pick your brain.
I am not legally allowed
Okay, but I'm like the mayor. Are we setting ourselves up for liability? That's my major concern.
Because
It's
on
a-
the special event permit, they have to provide liability insurance. So if they don't get that permit, if it's just a park fee, then I think we'd have to say that they need to either sign a waiver or,
Are we checking,
Yeah,
are we checking their insurance before they get it? Or are we just saying that they need to provide it?
we're
Oh, yeah.
just saying they need to provide it.
So my assumption would be that our insurance would cover an accident on our playground equipment, for example. Now, if somebody's bringing external equipment into the park, we'd have to check with our insurance policy on how the policy would handle that. I don't know if it's a legal determination, it's more of a policy coverage determination. My recommendation would be to require a separate policy coverage for any exclusive use. Or as it previously said, private use. Anything within 9305 would require a proof of policy insurance for that event.
Would that be something the city would have as a tag-on policy and then?
It is something that the person seeking to use the park for an exclusive use, they would obtain their own policy and submit proof of that policy to the city as part of the application.
I'm kind of agreeing with the mayor. I think it needs to be a special use permit. I think we need to do it that way.
I know, it still does, but I agree with what you're saying, but you still gotta address this.
I know, but I'm saying is the step.
But if you do require them, just have a fee and then require them to have the insurance.
'cause once you have this,
probably okay.
Sorry, once you have that special use permit ordinance, you could just copy, paste it onto the other ordinance and move it away. But to address this summer issue that we're trying to deal with, might as well consider the policy now.
Well, get back what he just said, $30 to park, we're charging 10. I mean, we're gonna get inundated. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people here now. I mean, during the week, probably having that would probably be a good thing, but I don't know, we're gonna get inundated with a lot of people. So that's.
I understand, but let's focus on right here. How much you want to charge for this thing? $20, $15, $10?
I think $25 at least $25. They're going to create garbage. We have to clean up after them, perhaps, if they do the cascarones, confetti things all over the place. I have picked up a lot of that. I
that's
don't
a
ban
problem.
those out of the parks
Oh, yeah,
completely.
no,
No,
sir. After the Easter thing.
Maybe
last year,
we should
oh,
ban
mother
those.
goodness gracious.
So, but 25, I
I'd
mean,
love to do this.
I mean, we have to pay someone to come and clean up the garbage. I mean, 25 is minimal,
deal,
minimal,
really.
minimal.
So I think it 10's a deal on parking. But go ahead.
Still don't know what they're talking about here, that it reserved the right of the entrance between the swings and the parking lot table. Which parking lot table? The one over on 1979 or the one by the parking lot? There's not a lot of room out there for anything. There's picnic tables, there's a play structure, there's the swings, there's a trail.
I think
I
it's just
don't-
north of the basketball court, probably what that's referring to.
Yeah.
Just north of the basketball court.
I think that spot where that pit is, when you go in, right there to the right between that pit.
Well, I see what you're saying, north of the barbecue, okay, of the basketball court. I see it's gonna have to be to the west of the barbecue.
It's west, sort of west, not so much.
Oh, it was in reference, the basketball court.
Basketball court, west of the barbecue, there's a big opening there, yeah.
Yeah.
You can run an extension cord from the outlets there to. And those things are plugged in continuously, the bouncy houses. You don't turn them on and off, they just run.
Mhm.
So I don't know how much power that takes.
Right at the entrance.
So the number one thing, I'm saying, so $20, $25?
I say I'd raise 25.
All right.
I hadn't thought of the
25.
garbage.
Okay, so
Yeah, the garbage,
$25.
that's another
$25.
problem.
So the second issue is insurance. So we already have a special use form, right, for this, but it does not include a right or requirement on the insurance right now.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does, but
But-
there's no basis for the
I
form.
remember you showing me that before. Yeah, you said that before. It's not enforceable the way it's written or something.
Yeah, there's no ordinance requiring it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of.
So we would want to put this in now to say
In
that
the
it is,
ordinance.
in this park ordinances, insurance would be required.
Proof of insurance policy, part of the permit for the duration of the exclusive use. I don't know if
And
it's
so this-
it's a total coverage limit, but we typically ask, I think in the filming ordinance, we ask for $1 million policy. We could look at doing something.
For construction, we do too.
So what number are we trying to ensure?
25's enough. I don't know.
Yeah, we're getting parking anyway from the, if they're not here.
Now, what about the litter? He has a bigger, should we have a policy? I mean, the trash, take your trash out or?
No, you can't expect someone to do that if they're paying $25. That's not.
And the trash guy to pick up the trash.
We are.
It says in there, all park and recreational facilities must be left in as good condition or better than before the person in the group left. If we don't, we know who they are, you know?
Charge them.
We'll charge.
Are we gonna say the permit must be posted? Because if he's driving by and sees something, then the permit must be purchased and posted in the park. Like, say, we'll have a little, maybe a little sign holder or some designated place.
They just have to have
They
it.
can show proof, because what will happen is what I'm requesting is that we get a list of all permits that were issued for parks, so that we'll know. And so I'll know on this particular day,
Mm.
there's gonna be this bouncy house there. I drive by any other day and I didn't get that, I know that, hey, there's a bouncy house there,
Okay.
what's the deal?
Okay.
Okay, one more point here on C, all park and recreation facilities must be in left condition, blah, 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 are subject to fine.
I was about to say that. Yeah. So
Good point.
what happens if they don't comply with any of
Fine.
this? What's the penalty?
$100.
The general penalty that we have for
What is that?
non-compliance,
What is that?
it's
Up
You think
to
it's-
500.
This is a civil penalty, this is.
Yeah. right, it's a civil penalty.
So what should we,
It's a, was it code?
There's a penalty
10?
section at the bottom.
there you go,
There you go.
there you go. I'll go with that.
Failure to comply with this section.
Not to exceed 500.
Is that okay, Tommy?
That's a criminal penalty, yeah. That's not your civil penalties.
Do we need to revise that?
So it might be pull up chapter 10
Of the ordinance.
of our code. 'Cause that would be a general penalty. I would hope 93.99 would
That
be
would,
sufficient.
what, yeah, why would that, you know, you're violating a portion of the.
It's not a misdemeanor at that point. What they're doing is not a misdemeanor. Wouldn't be a misdemeanor offense unless you say, hey, this is gonna be a crime. To leave your trash here is gonna be a crime. To do this is gonna be a crime.
We're saying any violation in the entire ordinance is a crime.
Wait, really? It's
Okay.
it's kind of broad, if you look at it, that's what's.
Well, how, should we write just have a separate penalty clause?
Well, what chapter does that penalty refer to? It says provisions of this chapter,
That's the part.
93.
That's
Chapter 93.
the one we're working on now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then it applies, I guess.
Is that okay with you, Tommy?
Should we mention that in that section? Or just?
Yes,
Of this chapter 93.
yes,
Well, in section 93.05,
yes, mention
or
that.
just, or is it redundant?
I think
No, put it in there. I don't want litter. I want to find these people because they will leave trash. And if they leave trash, they're gonna get fined and they'll learn their lesson.
Well, they're gonna leave trash around the trash cans.
Yeah, but if they trash it, they're gonna pay.
Is it redundant or not?
I think it
Even though
needs-
the last section
I think
does already establish that any violations of.
that's a determination that Kent can make.
Okay.
At the meeting.
Or you could
Because
say, or say
he'll
reference.
ultimately be the prosecutor for this, right? So.
So
What do you think?
perhaps
As long
we,
as we have, sorry, as long as we have it articulated in there somewhere that you cannot litter. Now, if we have the refuse disposal spots and they're just piling it up and they're full, that's not on them. I think that
Hey,
they're
I've got
gonna
it.
power all around.
I've got
The
it.
best they can do.
I've got it. Deposit fee. And if you don't leave it clean, you lose your deposit.
Mm.
There we got them.
That's too tough to have to give
Yeah.
a check and give a check
Huh?
back.
you have to do a lot of refunds.
That's,
Well,
that's
that's fine.
more work for them to get a deposit and then have to refund the deposit. That's
We're
seems.
putting a lot of burden on the person trying to rent this, you know, what is that policy gonna cost them, you know, I mean, this is getting.
Just deposit. If you behave, you get your money
Not
back.
referring to, there's
But
also.
they're not that expensive. I have to do one for my run and present it to New Braunfels.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive, but you have to do it. They won't even give you a permit to that for the event.
If what? If you don't have what?
Insurance. Take it to them.
How does one find about that in insurance? You look it up
A
online,
homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
homeowners policy?
So I'm-
So when I had family reunion.
So I've been knocked out of the deposit.
Call up almost any insurance company and get an event.
You could always make that motion at the meeting to include it and see what the council votes on it.
Are you making changes to this now? That we?
Well, I'm making notes of the conversation.
Oh, I see. And then you'll.
Well, let's have a vote. I think let's make it deposit. You'll lose your
Workshop. Maybe we should have knew about at a workshop.
Just like, can I say something? I've been going down to the park, not every day, every week for the past 4 years. It is rare that people trash areas. Sometimes they leave a lot of trash down by the river, rarely now. Sometimes they trash the parking lot, or it doesn't happen every day, it doesn't happen every week, it doesn't happen every month. People, we have talked to them, they know where the cans are. I talk to people, I say, are you taking all your stuff off? Oh, yeah, we always do that. We always. So what we're talking about as far as trashing, it can happen with a big party and like you're talking about. I don't know how many people come to bouncy house parties. I mean, I'm sure they can get a crowd there.
Probably a dozen kids.
The other thing is if you get big people in there with little people, that's where they need the insurance.
Do we need to limit the amount of cars that might be associated with a special event?
I think we're splitting hairs. on
Okay.
that one. But I want to push for that deposit, because that's easy. And we just have to, just put a check.
We haven't had that many big.
Because every day I was driving by, and there was some bikers that went to phase one. I saw them throw a big old bag of garbage behind the toilet, the porta cans. I mean, people are just, they don't respect parks or anything. And I think they need to know they'll lose their money. That's just my opinion.
That's a good point. And Mike, if you were to do deposit, what rate would you put it at?
$100. Is that fine?
Like that tangible.
Yeah.
The way we do deposit is we just take a credit card. We don't charge it,
There you go.
but you tell them upfront if, we'll charge
So
you.
you include it as if
So
they
you don't have
sign,
to do refunds.
There you go. Put on the
include a
credit.
credit authorization form. I've done those, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Do a credit authorization
You
form,
take
they
a
have to
check,
fill it
but
in.
You don't cash it.
So 100, that sound fair to you guys? $100 deposit?
I like that, credit card authorization, you sign it
Okay.
with the CC.
You got a deal?
CC
Deal.
number.
Next
You
one.
just say, hey, we come back and inspect, we're gonna take a picture, and
You sure you want to sit next to me?
the odds of it happening, once you do that, are like,
Yeah.
1 in 100,
Yeah.
you know.
But it does cover the city. And was there any before and after of the porta potties? 'Cause that's obviously going to be used. I don't know if that $25 covers that.
I get 50. That's a porta can.
I know the TDS charges like $50 every time they come by and clean it or something like that.
We pay a monthly fee and it's supposed to be cleaned once a week. We don't know what an additional charge is.
But should we, in their party, they're gonna use it a lot, There's gonna be food, maybe drinking water and all these other things, and they're gonna really dirty up the restroom. And they're not gonna, the cycle that they clean it is on Thursdays, I believe.
25, 30.
Most parties are gonna be on a weekend. So you're gonna have a whole week of a dirty porta potty. So would we wanna raise the rate on, instead of $25, but to be $25 plus whatever TDS requires to do a additional cleanup?
Just make it 40. That way we're covered.
We don't know how much they charge for an additional.
I don't know off the top of my head, but we could always look at it, then include it in this.
How much those things, how many times we empty those?
Once a week,
Once a week.
but it's on a Thursday.
So once a week. So it'd be mostly on weekends, wouldn't it?
They
I
what?
would think so.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the summer, do we get that thing cleaned out more often?
We discussed it. I mentioned it if we start to charge in the Park mobile app that we're gonna have to clean it at least twice a week because nobody's gonna wanna come and see a bathroom that's.
Okay, so you think maybe 25 is not enough?
We'll have to, let's call Texas Disposal System and find out first. Can we just leave that open for now?
How about 40? Make it $40, not 50.
What about an extra trash can? We have an extra
What
trash.
do y'all think, guys? What do y'all think?
Can we put an extra trash can out?
If it's 25, 35, 40 people showing up for a kid's birthday party or something like that, for an afternoon, I don't think the porta potty is going to get that much additional use compared to whatever the park would get anyways. From a practical standpoint, the parking lot's probably going to get full, right? And so you're not going to have that crowd plus a normal crowd using the parking, the park.
I think I think you're right, we're overthinking it a little.
What do you think is a fair price?
I
think the group settled on $25. I think that's reasonable.
I'm happy with that. Go to the next.
And then
I
as a
want my
park
deposit.
maintenance item, I do think we need to look at the porta-potty cleaning schedule.
Let's just wait and see if we get
Or we need
complaints.
another unit in the summer.
Yeah. One of the two.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna make more money on the parking, then that's.
Okay, I'm happy, okay, I'll go to 25, but I want the deposit. You got a deal.
We're gonna do a credit card authorization.
Got a deal.
We're gonna do a credit card authorization.
You cut a hard part in there, Mike.
That's great.
Okay, so we're good at 9305?
You're gonna change it to say Allen Bates Park,
Yeah.
just River Park.
Yeah.
Because we need to specify, because that doesn't, it needs to be specific because the location, because there's no electricity down in phase one, but still someone may want to go to phase one and have a party there, you know? Just because there's no electricity, people love to go to phase one and sit beneath those pecan trees and have parties there. So are we going to just say River Park, meaning both parks? No, we need to distinguish because River Park in A is referring to swings and parking lots
Okay,
and all
let's just
that.
refer, I agree. Let's go with
Now,
Allen
phase
Bates.
one is different. That's a different
Okay.
park. And so are we gonna give people the ability to rent phase one? That's the question now. And I think we should.
Well, it says, there's no facilities, it's kind of a primitive access.
I think it's Allen, let's do Allen Bates. Let's
Just
do
leave it
it.
at Allen Bates and.
So don't charge in phase one then.
No,
For
but
parking.
not authorize.
But what if someone comes and shows up and they're all there? I mean, there has been rager family parties there before in the summer.
Majors.
Ragers, music, food.
I don't think they're
Canopies,
gonna come to
hammocks.
City Hall.
They're not gonna come for that. They're gonna be partying, beer cans flying,
They're
everything
just
else.
gonna gather is what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. They're just gonna
So-
gather.
Okay, if we just want to handle Allen Bates Park for now, then fine.
This is about reserving a space exclusive from all others.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead.
And use
Go
our
to the
facility,
mayor. That's a
electricity,
good example.
and services.
There's no such.
It's not a crowd mitigation
Yeah.
or not intended to prevent the congregation of people.
Okay. Okay, that's all I got then. We'll just settle for Bates and that's fine.
Got a deal,
What
okay.
about
We start cleaning it up
Gargiola?
and make it look the way we want it to, I agree, I think we're gonna get that now.
Don't wanna, I'll
What
be
about
sound like I wanna
Gargiola Park?
figure. trying to
What if
record
somebody
what we
wanted to
wanna
rent
add to it.
Gargiola Park?
That's true.
Does it have power?
You
Yeah,
could have
and
a art,
water.
yeah. Well, it doesn't have electrical power, but it has
Oh, it
water.
doesn't?
But if someone wanted to have an art festival there or have a couple of food trucks or have
Ooh, we
a,
don't want fruit chuck, no,
I think
no, no.
I think Guardiola Park should be considered in the fee system because it's gonna start to get more popular because of its proximity to
We
the
can,
downtown.
we can address this at a later time, you know, we can go back and throw a line in here.
Okay.
You know.
I would put Guardiola off until we get to a larger event permit. I think the incidents of people seeking to rent that out or using it for an exclusive use, I'm not aware of it happening in the last 4 years.
You're right.
Okay,
It's too far from the river.
And not to say it won't happen in the future, and I think we should cover it, but I don't know if we want to.
The only ones using it is the library.
I don't think they're using any of the resources like the water and there's no electricity.
So do we need to put down deposit on C?
I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
You got your notes? Go, next one, go ahead. Here's a good part.
This is a busy section,
Oh, boy.
a lot of changes. Oh, sorry, you have to be a little bit patient here.
Okay, chief.
There you go, chief.
How do we fix this one? Disruptive conduct.
So the question on that first one is, if there's an official event or program being conducted and someone interferes with the city would that be covered under another statute or I don't think ordinance, but probably covered under statute. That statute might be restricted just to like official proceedings of, I guess, counts of governing body meeting or something like that, but if there's a programming opportunity that we're giving kids to learn about the wildflowers in Allen Bates, and we have a naturalist down there who's doing a presentation to the kids, and someone comes up and starts screaming and hollering at them, for whatever reason. That's not this flower, that's a daffodil, whatever. If someone interferes with the conduct of his, maybe not official duties, but contracted duties or city programming, would that be a violation of another statute where we might not need to say so in this ordinance just to keep the list down and manageable? I remember.
So, my thought is that if, let's say you have that, and now you have someone that protests our counter
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
You get the First Amendment there.
Yeah.
Does he have a right to be there? Go into effect. But that first one, you know, in the scenario you gave, could infringe on someone's First Amendment rights, right to speak. Because this person's there talking about the daffodils, and this person thinking they're sunflowers or whatnot.
Yeah, right.
You know, we have to watch that and say, that's why I think the permits are so good, especially even in the park. Let's say they do put up a bouncy castle and someone goes in there. You know, that they have a permit for that particular area, and they can ask that person to leave. If we don't have any permitting, someone's going to be jumping around in their bouncy castle. And now you got a disturbance, now you're gonna have a fight, I guarantee you, because someone comes in my bouncy castle on. But that's what we could have. That's why I think the permitting is important. So I think if we know we're gonna have an event like that, if someone's there, then we can have something to say, hey, you gotta go, we're asking you to leave, they ask you to leave, they rented this spot, you're more than welcome to rent it another time or whatever, and come back and state your piece, you know. But right now, we're asking you to leave, and then it becomes a trespass issue after that.
So maybe delete A.
Yeah, it looks like you could delete A and that it's redundant and that you're covering enough of what is in A in B. That's what I think.
You, instead of deleting A, replace any program being conducted by the city with any permitted.
Permitted
Yeah, I would say
exclusive
permit.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would leave A there, but add in the words like you're saying, well, for a permitted area or specific use or whatever other kind of permit they get.
In any,
They're by the city or any of those engaged in specific use permitted, exclusive use, yeah, exclusive use. Oh, that's right, you guys changed the verbiage.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
are y'all gonna need us for any other discussions, or are we gonna? I mean,
Oh, you guys
I
go
don't-
through it all.
Well,
We're gonna talk about skulls later.
I
Talk
went to
about-
parks first thinking that's what we were,
I got kind of shut down on the part, on the discussion about skulls.
Skull Crossing.
We talk about kayaking and loading offload zones and mention as an ordinance. Do we want people unloading, offloading at Allen Bates Park and phase one?
I personally now, you know what I think? I mean, this, if you got a fly fisherman and he's got a trailer, it's $20. for 2 spots. And if we're gonna charge them $20, I think we should allow them to park there all day. Now, however, you probably wanna have, I figure you can do 2 lanes, you can have 1 lane open for unloading, loading, and walking, okay? On that, shut the side road down and have that for parking, because the way Sculls is, the parking lot, you can't put a trailer in there. If we have that road closed, we can have parking for the fly fishermen. With trailers, canoe trailers.
I'm just looking at a way to fit it into the ordinance so that we can put a sign up and have something.
That's what we're trying, that's what I wanted to talk about. First of all, you know,
Like I said, I know where you're going with on that, but that other road, I mean, that is still not ready to, like, I've taken that road to try to make the right to come back downstream, and it's tough to make that turn. It's tough to make that turn the way it's graded. It's not a.
it's more visible.
Could we
I'm
call
not
it,
disputing that, but that, right now, the way it is right now, I've tried to make that right. I've skidded on that.
You can't.
You can't. And you want to piss the river people across that you're trying to get inside the city, limits, you're gonna tick off every one of
I
them.
piss everybody off anyway.
We know we each have a skill set. But those people all go through Quail Run on 80, and that's how they're going.
I've actually done it and I didn't have a problem, but
could we distinguish if you're coming from Martindale, the first road or the second road? I'm right,
He wants to
left.
close the downstream road,
The first
Which
road.
the
is-
first closest to the city,
Yeah,
yes.
that's closest to the city.
And the city owns that, was given that by Lanzola. the
Correct.
The
road.
road was already there.
So it's a public road
It's all
now?
murky now because it was a private road. It got, from what Mr. Goins was telling us, it was a private road. It was a gravel road. Then it got paved. People, I think, always assumed that both of those roads were city roads. I always did. I was surprised when I found out
Mm.
that road belonged to Richard Conrad's. And so technically, yes, when the property is given to us, that road would belong to us, but it would belong to us if it's a city road too.
Yeah, the way it's
So-
deeded right now, there is a road, so that's not, when they just deeded it, they put a road in. I know it wasn't before, because I looked it up, it was the land,
well, let me add something to the shutting the road to the right downstream. I've talked about this to the chief, making it a 3-way stop sign there. Making a 3-way stop because of safety concerns, and if we have a parking lot, people will slow down and stop. And as Chief Ward said, we need to shut Quail Run and Sculls for through truck traffic. That needs to be stopped.
well, that I think is a whole, I agree.
But
That's a whole nother issue.
if you have a sign and you shut that road, you got them. Those truckers are not gonna go up that steep turn and make a right. They're not gonna do it.
That's what they're doing now, none of
No,
the
no.
truckers are.
They go to the right.
How do we apply this to an ordinance? I mean, what?
But I'm trying to convince my fellow council members
Mm.
that I think a good option would be to shut the road down. Because
That has nothing to do with, it's not a park, that's what,
well,
that's.
we're gonna talk about it being a park maybe.
But I understand, but that's not, well, the road is not a park either way. The road is a road.
Well, it could be part of the park.
Okay.
No, it can't.
Yes, it
It's
can.
a road. But let's not talk about that now because
Well, I
we're
was
not
doing that.
talking
I
about,
was doing that for this.
Scull is not a park though.
Well, we could talk about being a park, making a park.
That would be on topic.
Yeah,
Well, technically, the land that is downstream, closest to the city, is Butterfly Park, as it was described in the.
because you know,
It's
man,
the
Oh, yeah.
dream
hey, I'm a
site.
bro-
subdivision, that is the Butterfly Park.
I'm a
I'm not kidding
broken,
you. Thank you, Mr. Russ, for doing.
hey, I'm a broker, and there's a few paddlers here. That is like I said, one of the most popular sections, and if you had that road shut down, the canoe trailers can come and they can park their vehicles in the shade and they can unload safely, and everybody's happy. Except for some people will not be happy shutting the road down. I understand that.
That second road though is very bad if you're coming from the bridge and you're trying to turn right. It is so steep there and blind And imagine if someone's
Okay,
coming
what
at
about-
the same time.
What about if we have a stop sign, a three-way stop sign? What do you think, Mr. Ward?
You don't always have to cross into traffic to make your right turn.
If you
It's
went,
almost a full U-turn.
It's
so
not
if
wide
you look
enough.
at the width of that,
It's more than 270.
What do you got, Tom?
It's more than 270.
if you look at the width of that road, right, where it comes up on that side,
Okay.
where it comes up on the,
No, it's-
on the north end side. If you look at the width of that road,
Depending on how
if
you
you narrowed it back down, they wouldn't be going over that rough spot. If you came up
No, it's not.
and actually had.
I think nobody's
It's
listening
like
to him.
135.
They're not listening.
Just a minute, just a minute. Now,
Yeah, so
one person. has-
The width of that road is really wide there. What people do is, because it's simpler and easier, is cut in close to the right-hand side if you're turning right. They don't go like where the normal traffic
Yes.
flows.
You're right.
So if you actually had designated lanes there, it
Gotcha.
wouldn't be as bad turning back right.
You got it.
Because if you go up that hill
You're right.
and then turn right, you have, but where everybody turns is good because it's easier over there. That stop sign keeps getting knocked down on Quail Run because the big trucks go through there.
Yep.
And they knock it down every single time.
That needs to be shut down.
Any truck with a big trailer knocks that, stop sign over every single time. Just by virtue of where it's.
And they almost took me out today. Yeah.
That when you're driving south on Northwest River Road and you come up to that area, the way you have to position that stop sign is also confusing. That stop sign for that little spur, the south road coming off Scull, you almost have that stop sign facing Northwest River Road. It's gotta be such an angle. So people come up there and stop. Some people just don't know, right? So if you ever go over a set and watch it, you'll see a little cluster there. That whole thing could probably be fixed. I've said it before, it's probably closing off that one side. It would make it easier for flooding and everything else for safety. There's a lot of things that can happen there. And then leave it, or close off one of the sides is what I think, and make it one roadway is my thought.
So let me follow what you're saying, make sure I got this right. If you're going up the steep incline on Sculls Road, because I've done this, if you don't go all the way to the edge where the stop sign is and you're more towards the center, it's a lot easier turn. Because if you look at that incline, it really gets steep and it goes gradual as you go upstream. So putting a stripe or something designated.
A designated lane.
And designated lane, and you agree with a three-way stop sign?
I think we need a stop sign there that would slow everything down and then,
If I'm trying to come up that hill and come back towards town, and there's someone or truck trying to make a left in there, I don't think there's as much room as we all think there is to make that turn.
Well, no, you're talking about
we're trying to.
shut the,
No, I'm talking about upstream. I'm coming back here to downtown, and you're saying there's a lane, but anyone's going this way trying to go down here, there's not.
well, that's why we want to shut down the through truck traffic. We don't allow through truck traffic.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
No, we don't. It's all related. Because if you have the no through, you got fines with a sign, and if you shut this road going to the right, those truckers are not gonna come that way. At least going from Scull
The
up.
trucks are coming this way anyway, Mike. This is the way they come. They're not coming under here.
They go both ways.
Very few of them are coming. Even all the garbage guys go this way. The trash guys do not go under here because of the branches. And they took it out, someone took out one of the branches a couple days ago. And that's what they do. The trash guys go down here and they wait and then they go down there. You know?
And if we did a three-way stop sign there, you wouldn't have that issue of someone cutting in front of you right there.
Yeah, but then you'd be on a steep incline and you'd be stopped there. And before you get up to Northwest Road, you could have a truck and
You
a
gotta stop
trailer.
anyway. There's a stop sign already now.
So are we still
Okay.
considering an ordinance?
Well, we're trying to, it's kind of related because Skulls could eventually be a possible park.
Chapter 93 is what I'm looking
I'll
at.
say,
Yeah, you're right.
I know we're off, so, but I'm just trying, the Goins are fixing to leave,
All
and
these guys live
this is why we're saying this, because the reason here is for Skulls, pretty much.
It's gonna need more discussion and they
Yeah.
could come back when we talk about it more because we have to designate it as a park or call the parking lot a park. We have to open
Okay.
up the parking lot. There's a whole,
Okay, let me finish. Can I get
whole
my,
bunch of discussions.
can I get my
still
sales pitch, Mr. Clinton?
needed. I've heard it, but
Well,
I'll
I'll
hear
tell
it
you
again.
again, everybody here. The main reason I want to designate Skulls as a park because I want an alcohol and I want a disposable container ban for many reasons. And if it's established park, we already have that covered in our park ordinance. And that's the main reason, because we have a lot of issues. We have a lot of issues there at Skulls.
So you're saying that people that park in the parking lot cannot have alcohol in
Yes.
their cars?
Yes.
And how is he gonna enforce that?
Well,
How is he gonna
We'll
enforce
ask,
that?
we'll ask, we'll ask,
I don't think he can,
Okay,
but
let me-
but we'll see.
we'll ask him that question.
You're not gonna keep people from bringing and drinking alcohol, no matter how many.
Let's ask the chief. Let's ask the chief. What do they do, Mr. Goins, what do they do at Texas Parks and Wildlife? At parks?
Just have signs.
Public consumption.
Public.
But if you can't have if you're having a can of beer out in the open, that's public consumption.
You can have the beer and your ice cream.
Yes.
And you can drink in your tent.
It's called
It's
Scull.
about a car.
But you can't be flashing it.
Fine, no public.
So if you, I'll ask Tommy,
I'm just talking about.
got a technical question for you. If we
Yeah,
made Skulls a park, if we had a can ban,
The parking lot.
but I'm talking the parking lot, the Skulls made it a park, it's a parking lot, and people are going in there, and we have a disposable container ban, and we have an alcohol ban. What is you as a police chief to do?
Well, I mean, we can enforce that down in the river. Are you saying that they can't have alcohol in the parking lot? That's gonna be a tough one to enforce.
That's what I just told him.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one to enforce when we're charging them for parking and if they have it in their car. Because if they bring it in their car, because if
Okay.
we catch them down on the river, we're gonna say, hey, you can't have this here. I write them a ticket, say, take it to your car and put it away.
Yeah, it's not visible as long as it's put away.
Right.
But if they say pull their cooler out of their car and they're in the parking lot,
Sitting there drinking in the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we'll.
and then are rolling it down the river, rolling it down on the roller down to the river.
What's in the cooler?
Right. I would have to know what's in the cooler. I mean, you still got,
You can't search everybody's cooler.
you can't search the period.
Yeah.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
Well, but so
Go ahead.
no one's gonna sit that much and sit and drink beer in the parking lot. That is not a.
What they're gonna be doing.
They're
Do
gonna,
we have any more questions for the?
Yes, y'all have
So
any
that
comments?
we-
Y'all been through this.
We don't make them sit here all day.
That's why I
I
brought it
just
up.
want to say, can you have no ordering, like, it's a parking lot?
But that was the whole concept, is that this is a loading, unloading only, like you guys say. We need to make that a park. Well, I agree with Mr. McLeod. You gotta make this a park and then just say, this is a loading, unloading only parking area. And that, I think, encompasses a lot of what we're
There's a
trying to
one thing about
avoid.
that, Tom.
And the reality is, hey, the park's open, stop hanging out over there. Go downstream. Because before they did it, because it was closed.
Yeah.
Get back to where you were supposed to be and safer for everybody.
So
You
what,
know, because you see what's happening is they're parking and staying there and fishing right there. And it's dangerous even driving by. My kids
Yeah.
drive by there every day and people are parking in the road.
The other thing is, they took that road away at one time. You know, what thought process was when they took it away and how
it's
they
talking
developed
about
it.
the downstream.
downstream one? Yeah, we're talking.
Yeah, the downstream.
It was a road, and then it wasn't, and then they gave it to us, our viewers, and then it became a road again, so.
So they had a big pile of dirt piled up.
Yeah, I remember
through the
that.
driveway
Yeah, I
through there,
remember
and
that.
it was a little parking lot.
That would be great for the trailers and canoe trailers and stuff. So Tommy, get back. If you had, say, the can ban and you had the alcohol ban in the parking lot, you said, once they get down to the river, is there anything, if they're rolling their cooler down to to the bridge, do you have any authority to say you can't have alcohol, you can't do a thing.
I mean, I can tell them, hey, you're not allowed to have alcohol there. I can say that to every single person has a cooler. But I can't look in their cooler to verify that they have.
But you can't say that
I can
and
say it
no,
verbally.
and no
But the
alcohol.
signs are saying it as well. So I can say, I go out and say, you can have alcohol here. You know, once they get into the water, they're gonna, hey, I got it. Try to put the disposable container, but if they got it in their Yeti cup.
Okay. Non-disposable. So you got two quivers. I mean, you got two narrows in your quiver. Okay. I think we said enough on that. Thanks for your input.
Thank you so much.
I got said good luck earlier.
I
Yeah.
really was interested in hearing all that answer.
Thanks for coming.
All right.
That was helpful, actually.
Mhm. And thanks for all your work on the river as
If you
well.
need to go through this way, it's okay to do that.
I
Yeah, he's knocking the chair.
might drink it. Got it? You've been going downhill's okay.
Thanks for coming, River Rats. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my
anytime.
I've always wondered what it'd be like to be a city councilman.
Hey, you know what? You want to come on in to city limits?
Well, I don't see any gray hair on it, a little bit on the side.
Oh, he just started.
None till I moved.
Wait till about 2 years of this council. Hey, wait a couple of years, it'll be just like this.
Okay,
All right.
let's get back on track.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Adrian, for stepping on your meeting here.
Left all my notes in there.
Okay. So, I think we're pretty good on A, so determining that preventing or disrupting a permitted use of the park is a violation of the ordinance. Intentionally or knowingly engage in destructive or violent conduct. I think that's fairly easy for the police to make that determination, unless, like Jared said, there's any other laws that apply to it. That if we need to have it,
Yes.
I think we do.
because there's state laws that says you can't murder someone on, but if you want to leave it in, you can.
So here's what I would add there.
Okay.
Talking about the first two words are intentionally and only, those are coupled with mistakes. I would add recklessly there, because people do some really stupid stuff that can cost someone else.
You guys think that's good?
Mm-hmm. That sounds fine.
What is that defined?
Intentionally and only or recklessly.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, to see, yeah, no, that would be,
That one, yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah, I'll get-
C's the fun one, I remember.
That's the one I brought it up last time. I think, we don't see yet.
Which, but B, you don't need to say which could result in law enforcement arresting you or whatever. We don't need to go
Well, these
that
are
far.
state ordinances, so we're gonna go, that's on these.
Your call.
There's no citations.
What is it?
There's
Citations only.
Does it say anything about a citation there?
Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's number .99 or the
Okay.
that earlier.
Okay.
Fines up to $500.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Now we're for C.
Now we're C.
I made this point last time. I think there should be no boom boxes. No, is that what I call it? No amplified. If you want to come in and listen to music, you had your headphones on. Because you go to San Marcos, everybody's got a boom box. And if you're trying to go out and enjoy nature with your kids or whatever, you need to listen to the birds, not music.
That go for permitted uses as well?
No, general, just.
What do you guys think?
How did you say that again?
No amplified music.
No,
Is
you gotta have your,
No outdoor speakers is what he's saying.
or, some of these phones are, I don't know.
Well,
What
that's
about
how,
on private property? Oh, we're just talking about in the park.
Yeah, parks. Would you agree with that? Just not allowed, period.
I
They
mean,
keep it simple for you.
for enforcement purposes,
Yeah.
that makes it simple.
Good.
But, it's tough to go, everybody's gonna have it, it's gonna be we're gonna be down there every single time.
Most of the time, it's reasonable. Every now and then, I got in trouble one day for asking me.
Six?
Well, this was a couple, 2 or 3 years ago. I asked them to turn it down and they,
Okay, we'll just don't allow it.
no, it was just,
Well, I mean, that,
that was just one.
you're just saying you don't like it, but that doesn't mean.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not criticizing your music. I don't think we should have any music down there. Rockin',
Sometimes people have something on their phone, their iPad.
go to your car, go to your house and do it. You know,
Well, there's
not,
some people, when you float the river,
I know. it's-
they have music on their private property.
Yeah,
That's
that's
why I
private,
backed
that's
off.
private
I was-
property.
That's
And
private
you've had
property.
problems
We're
with-
talking about
Yeah,
parks.
and he has problems with with the Sterling, all this music. I mean, we,
But I can't, there's nothing I can do about him playing.
but no, but if we don't allow it in the park,
But then they got set up with some hits.
well, that's not, well, at least it doesn't get escalated. I just thinking, for me personally, if I go to a nature setting, I want to just enjoy the nature setting. And you're imposing on their right of nature, because to me, you might not like that type of music.
When I enjoy a cold beverage in the cool waters of the Martindale River, in my non-disposable container,
You got it.
I like to listen to some Americana music and just groove out.
With your headphones, and with your headphones.
Not in the water, you're not.
Not in the water.
Most of it is not that loud. What I was trying to tell you about, that one episode, past 4 years again, when those guys came after
Okay.
me. One episode in 4 years. Otherwise, most everybody has reasonable volume. I had some Latinos the other day on the river, about 10 or 20, playing what I thought was nice Mexican music at a very reasonable volume. And they were, most everybody is reasonable.
Okay.
I think just my personal preference.
You go ahead, Tom.
It's a policy-making decision, you know. Reasonable people are going to come to that setting expecting to play music is the only concern. It's the point I was trying to make, is that they're going to come there with the expected right that they can play music. Signage will inform them otherwise if we choose to modify it, but you're creating an issue of tying up police resources potentially on that issue.
Here's our sign.
We had it before that there was a decibel issue we talked about. Wasn't there a decibel?
But that was
State law.
paid.
It's state law 85 decibels.
Okay, let me ask the expert. You're gonna be enforcing this stuff, not me. What do you think banning any type of amplified music is a mistake for your officers and you? Or what's the easiest thing for you to?
So here's what people are used to. People know what the state law is across the state. That's what I said before. People know what the state law is and what's expected of them. If it's 85 decibels across the state, if they walk off that park and sit on the roadway and park their car on the side of the roadway and turn it up so they can hear it over there, or, what's going to happen? If they're not above 85 decibels, there's nothing I can do except listen to this car playing music across the park so they can hear it. If they got it cranking up in their parking lot,
The only difference is that's related to a public nuisance anywhere. This is an
Parks, in the
exclusive
parks.
park, so I think we can be more restrictive
We can be more
if we choose.
So that's what I'm saying. So if they know that there's a decibel level everywhere in the state, let's create a decent decibel level.
Okay, what is that?
65, 60.
Yeah,
35.
So I went to a concert, let me see if I can.
All I know is I get notifications if my dad gets exposed to over a certain decibel.
Well, I'm gonna lose, I can tell right now, I'm gonna lose this argument.
Share, somebody has a.
So,
So the person who was in here the other night that night we were talking about, said OSHA requirements. He was misspoken. He misspoke. I went and read everything. OSHA says if you're exposed to 85 continuous decibels
Oh, yeah. No, no.
for more than 8 hours. That's what it says. Then they have to come in and have a decibel plan for hearing protection. So over 85 for 8 hours continuous. If you're setting at 85 decibels and it's stumping,
Yeah, but we're talking about, Tommy, we're in a park setting. We're not in a,
Right, no, I get you.
we're not, you're,
And so that's what I'm saying, maybe 65, 50 decibels.
50? I'll take it.
And so we can, something that's measurable. It's hard to go in and say,
Hey,
hey.
do you say, did I hear 50?
Can someone take Mr. McLeod's voice when he speaks and tell me what the decibel reading is?
I got that.
And I want to use that as the bar.
That's 50.
Come on, Mike, I get bonus points for that one, man.
Would download that real quick, see if it.
You know, when I go to the park, I don't play music, but the music doesn't bother me.
My kids play music, I mean, I know they do, but.
Well, I'm gonna lose this one. I'll take what I can get. 50. We got a deal? 50. Let's go to the next one.
What I wanna-
50 decibels.
Hey, Mike, what I want to have is something that's measurable that I can show them. If that
I'm
makes sense. So then you have something I can bring to court and say he was in violation of because of this reason. If
So-
we say no music period, I'm fine with no music period, because that's something I can bring to court and say, hey, on this day, this person had music in this place. But if barring that strict, no amplified music or no music period, then I want to have something, and I'm talking loud, I hear someone recording me. This, I want to be able to say that this is how they violated, right?
This conversation, well, actually me talking right now is about 60 decibels, 60 to 65. Him talking just then was bouncing around 55 from where I'm at.
The 65 sound very in the ballpark.
Well, then
That's
85 must.
85 is like this, is like, that's only 78. How loud is 85? There we go. I finally hit 85. That's pretty.
But you gotta be continuous over that.
But that's you sitting there.
Well, yeah, it's,
Like exponentially, as you get away from it.
It dies
just
off.
really
So I get-
dies off.
Well, that's the thing, is it's 65 of music in a close surround setting.
What about like a radius? He established 25 feet from,
I don't do that, so then I gotta measure. So.
What's easiest, Tommy, what's easiest for you?
you can use it over 65.
65 decibels at the side of the complaint.
Good enough. We're
And then-
done.
then
I'll
you're
go with
just
that.
Dealing with it, a circumference.
I'll go.
Okay.
5 at the side of the complaint.
I got it. He's happy with it. Deal. Let's go to the next one. I'm not gonna linger. I lost that one, I know. So let's go to the next one. I'm
You
not
didn't
gonna.
lose, oh, you won that, nothing.
Nothing.
Oh.
But I lost. I'm going on.
How much was Mike there?
I don't know. We'll put it over here, like, right here. You can watch this.
Make a motion.
He's still at 7. Oh. Love workshop.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I'm happy.
You know, the only time I ever called about noise is when they were doing fireworks after midnight a few years ago. But I mean, I feel like at 9, 10 o'clock, at 9, 10 o'clock, if I, oh my goodness. If I can go in my house and shut the door and watch TV and I'm not hearing the music, I'm fine. You
Hello?
know?
Is the court open today?
No, it's only open on Monday and Tuesday.
I got a ticket that told me that I needed to be here today.
It'll be fine if you come back on Tuesday because
Tuesday?
we're closed on Monday.
Okay, yes, ma'am. All right, so Tuesday from,
Yeah,
9
9
o'clock.
AM to 5.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a blessed day.
Thanks for coming. Okay, we settled that one, 65.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was measuring, I was anywhere from
You know, he's
45
getting
to.
quiet, right?
Yeah.
Hey, this is not to drag this
Oh,
out, but
come
this
on.
does say electronic equipment. I've been in drum circles in the West Coast and there's people drumming and drumming and drumming. Are we just saying electronic things or are we saying drums and guitars or whatever? I mean, I
It needs to be any noise that you're referring to.
because I have been annoyed by that drumming
You
going
should
on.
have voted, you should have.
Well, that's the comments that we do get at the city offices too. that it's not the music that bothers people, it's like the drums
The bass.
somehow.
So would the 65 take care of that?
Like the people, Ray and Gloria, with the gas station in the front, they're just past Mari. And that's what bothers them, is when there's a lot of drumming.
Well,
So
this
When it's just
specific,
the guitar music and singing,
Mm.
they
So
never.
so 65 would cover the drum.
So let me tell you what, this says right here. So 60 decibels is a quiet library.
Oh,
62 decibels is a conversation. It's conversation. So once you get up above 65, it says busy something, busy office.
okay.
65.
65 is loud enough to enjoy your music, but not so loud that if you're 10, 20 feet away, probably not being.
I think we're in
We're
agreement
not
on that.
disturbing the next group of people. That's the concept. We're trying to avoid,
So the
you have your
drums,
music, if I don't like it, I can go another 10 feet away.
got
I
it.
can play mine and.
Well, I only said the drums because it's not an electronic, it's not speakers. What if it's not electrically
You think of somebody
amplified?
coming down with their 5-gallon buckets and tapping a beat to it, or?
Yeah, or drums.
I've never heard that.
Never heard.
Well, you can always, it's always a
Never heard
first.
that here.
Then just keep it this way for now, then if we find.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
We'll-
65,
we'll
let's go to the
change it
next
later.
one. Okay.
He's gonna be down there with his
You
bongos.
should have a little flashcard that says, I'm happy, and then you just show us.
Well, hey, you win. You know, that's, hey.
Instead of just doing electronic, just say any noise, any music, any noise. In the park.
I tried and I lost, so I'm gonna go on the next one. Let's go.
I see one middle of the trip.
All right, I understand. I went with the chief. He said 65.
I
Matthew,
would say it's unmistakable.
he just suggested any music, any,
Yeah, we done it. Let's go to the next one.
okay,
We're done with
then
C.
we'll just wait.
If it's an acoustic guitar, there's a good chance it's gonna probably bounce above 65.
That's why we have continuous. decibels.
Continuous decibels,
One
yes.
middle of the chapter in 4 years.
Okay.
The other thing they do is they build the dams across the river.
Okay,
That's a problem.
okay.
And they probably tear up some of the shrubs and stuff. I mean, they do some fires and things, but
How, and it says there, remove a rock. Where's the one about the rock? Remove or disturb any rock.
well, they're doing that.
You know what they're doing? Look for arrowheads. They dig all the time.
They do that along the river
They
bank.
dig and dig and dig.
So when they get the big pieces of concrete and try to dam the river up, that's a problem.
Okay, anything else that you can think of before
Just,
you go?
hey, yeah, sit here in the parks. You need to sit here and
Need
enjoy
somewhere
it.
at 3 o'clock.
You need
I need to go play my guitar.
You need to enjoy it.
Calm down. He's gonna go play his
Bluegrass.
guitar. Calm down.
Bluegrass music at 3 o'clock. You gotta come mellow out.
So this is your training.
We'll get a little-
This-
we'll get a little-
Hey, I quit that long. Long time ago.
Okay, nothing else then, Jeff.
Jeff, this is good training. Jeff, this is good training when you become a council person, see? You gotta step,
I've been trying to do that for 4 years too.
little steps, you know? And there's your first step.
Baby steps. Okay.
Okay, and
Thank
we want to have a Parks Advisory Committee meeting pretty soon.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
There's a comment here that said to remove E, I believe.
Yeah, we're removing E.
Yeah,
Why? What was that?
Why would,
probably just outdated.
No, you leave it there.
I would leave it there.
He says leave
It's
it
in all
there.
the core parks, it's in all the.
Okay, go for it.
All the parks.
Keep going.
Let me write that down.
Where we at now? We're at E or F? F.
Is there anything about D that we want to keep that?
Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, just remove, destroy. I would leave it there.
What do you think?
Yeah, that
I
was,
mean,
that
The
was.
question is the park boundary extend into the river? Because if his issue is people
Oh,
piling up rocks
You know
in
what?
the river.
You know
and
what?
we Enforce that sort of thing in the river.
Remove, destroy.
But aren't they gonna police that in a reasonable sense?
who?
I don't know, there's a police, there's a police team right
What
there.
he's having trouble, what Jeffrey's so worried about is that because I've been down there, I know you've talked about it many times. about the kids last summer.
Well, let me tell you,
They made it, you couldn't get it past you couldn't even come down the river in a kayak.
That's a
One
problem.
tree fell
Canoers,
down.
yes.
Pulled the tree down.
So there's another law that goes on with that called blocking the passageway.
Mhm.
okay,
So that's another way to enforce it. Hey, you can't do this because you're blocking a passageway.
okay, it's a separate, yeah, that is a problem,
It is a problem.
especially in low water.
And exactly what you're saying is exactly what I've been asking all along. We passed this, we talked about local containers, we talked about all this, is that enforceable in the river? So if all of this stuff is enforceable, if those are enforceable in the river, then these are enforceable. Because we own the other side of the river.
I think we need to establish park boundary and
I think so.
boundary of the parks extend to the opposite water as.
Can we do that?
Well,
Wait a minute,
we passed an ordinance under Doyle Mosier.
The city limits does that.
Yeah, but the thing, the state, the state,
Parks.
Park.
Oh, map.
the state always says
Can we?
the state controls the river. That's what the whole thing, but we could try. I mean, the state controls the river, not,
Well, then just leave that in there for now
And
about
technically,
the stu.
Your property on the river is to the middle.
do we? We don't, do we? We have jurisdiction in the river. We wouldn't, would we? Huh?
That's what I've said all along about forcing the people standing in the river, drinking beer and so forth.
So what do you think we should do this on a separate issue? Are we?
This is an attorney should look at this.
And just define the parks. Define the boundary.
Yeah.
think-
Another.
Going to school?
Well, in
The worst thing that could happen is if we defined it that the park includes the portion of the river that flows through the park. So our boundary extends across,
Just do it.
and we cite someone with a misdemeanor violation.
They'll test us in court.
Yeah,
Who's gonna F and
Let's
do?
do it.
yeah.
You for that?
So
I'm for it.
even if eventually it gets held that we violated state statute,
You're still,
or someone sues us on it, the likelihood that, I mean, maybe 50 years from now, when Martindale is the size of San Marcos and becomes a big screaming issue. But nowadays,
let's do it. Everybody agreement?
and then at that point, the city would have to want to make that fight, and you need somebody else to want to make that fight to make it, to go all the way up to the Supreme Court of the state, you know?
Would you,
So just keep making the rules, assuming the park, with the define the park, we have to do that, we do that in here though, right?
I think we should.
Well, my
how-
question is, if we passed an ordinance that we have jurisdiction to the other side of the river, how far up the bank?
the gradient boundary?
Well, I haven't seen that ordinance in a long, long time.
Well, the gradient boundary it's a very vague term, but the gradient boundary is like a gravel bar or the natural, the channel of the river.
It was so.
Or is it
they
wet?
could have-
Yeah, where it's wet or gravel.
Well, it was
Where it's
so
wet, at what stage? At low water, high water,
It would change based on where the river is.
but the way I understood it, it's
That's why I
typically,
do that, yeah.
It's,
a
in
gradient
some
boundary.
cases where the
Could be-
river, the
could be right
path of
here.
the river changes, that could have a big effect in
Yes.
property. There's a.
but the way I understood it, it's the flow of the river. It's the flow, basically, like the channel.
If the river floods, park extends. There's more of a cliff on that side, probably. wouldn't
And
extend.
like I say, for most of those right there, I'm gonna instruct my guys, hey, if someone's going down there building a rock dam.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them do it, they do it for kids mainly. But if they do that, then we'll say, hey, you gotta tear that down because you're blocking the passageway. And enforce it with another law that is a state law that everyone would enforce.
We need to see some waiters.
We're short, man, sorry.
Go for it, yeah. Go for it.
This ordinance is fine.
Little bit of a carpet, whatever, on the shoes.
Well-
They can walk on the slippery rock.
Yeah, I'm not even going in the water. But,
You can hire some river rangers.
well, I was gonna talk to you about that.
Deputize them.
No, I was gonna talk to something a little bit different, but when we get to that.
Okay, can we do that? Just we'll put the title.
Why
Yeah,
not?
I'm agree. You
I say
agree,
we- I
guys?
say we do it. Worst thing that we do is our attorney says we can't, and, well,
We have an eye here, everybody agree?
What are we doing?
Where are we putting that in?
Yeah, where are we
Not
putting
there.
We'll just leave it the same.
Where we put it?
way at the top.
Deal. I agree. Brilliant suggestion. Go for it.
But if it
Yeah.
is, the river in the city limits of the park, then who supersedes each other? Texas Parks and Wildlife or you?
I have to do some,
Or
I had to.
both
No, we wait.
jurisdictions in
Jared said this,
Only when there's a ordinance or law regulation in conflict.
Like-
The state or higher rule
Yes.
would apply and trump our ordinance. So if they say, the state says, thou shalt be allowed to drink beer in cans, you can have a Bud Light in a can down in,
you like Bud Light?
especially now.
Oh, you like it? What?
It's
I-
cheap.
I-
Oh,
I'm getting
Probably
used to
an
using
authority
that
control.
reference. The
Be
river.
careful,
Authority and control.
be careful, Bud Light, be careful.
Careful. He'll get you. He'll make you think of
Don't talk about national politics.
D will be.
So say we have an ordinance that violates or conflicts with a state statute or something. The state statute controls, not the city ordinance.
But if you're in the river on a boat, you can drink in your canoe or your boat.
Yeah.
Yes, but so we're.
So
enforcing that if they're only
where they are in conflict. So that you can plausibly take what you said, if you can drink alcohol on your boat, then they would be able to drink alcohol in the city park portion of the river, because if we had a ordinance that said no alcohol in a park. Now, if there's no topic on can bans, for example, at the state level where it doesn't address it and there is no conflict, sure, they can drink alcohol, but they can't in their boat, but they can't do it in a can. It's only where there's a conflict where
Well, we'd almost have to have signs on the river as they enter the city limits, because who's gonna know?
They
if
do, we
they're
have the
in their
can ban, we
boat?
have a sign, we have a sign on the road.
Not on the river.
Enforce them.
We're not gonna find, in fact, how is Tommy gonna
No,
catch a
that's
canoe?
right. That's too
How is Tommy
confusing.
gonna catch a canoe where he's flying by?
Exactly.
Stop, he'd be jumping, running
I
down.
mean, I'd like to build that.
It's not a problem, it's really not.
It's not a big problem.
I think we can let that one die,
It's mainly on private property that you see people drinking.
that's not a problem, okay.
Does this one right here, am I getting ahead of myself, is there the part where it talks about cans in here? Or non-disposable containers?
no.
No,
Okay.
we're off topic.
So you can have a can of Coke in the park, but you cannot have a can of beer.
Wait a minute, it's not, it's,
But you cannot have a can of Coke in the river, but you
Great
can't
boundary.
have a beer in a non-disposable container.
You're having too much fun with this.
It's a logic.
And he said,
I know, I know how it is down there, I know. But, I'd like to put it, we can't have glass.
oh, of course, styrofoam, glass,
No glass, I'm sorry.
you're right.
Where do we have that? Is that in there anywhere? I thought there was-
The easy way to do it was just to make the can ban applicable within the city park and then,
Got it,
Yes.
right there.
No,
There you
it's in 9310 is glass containers.
Is it in her?
Yeah, 9310 is glass beverage
Yeah.
containers. It's unlawful to exhibit, use, carry,
Yeah.
dispose of glass beverage in any city park.
Okay.
That's been passed since '08.
Should we add about the disposable container? While we're in there?
We're getting to that. So, but there's nothing to be done here. 9306, we took care of the sound.
Okay.
We're gonna remove we're gonna leave the metal detector in. And then there's nothing to be changed in D and F, right? I mean, they're just,
F says to combine. I guess you just clear up the language on that?
Willfully,
Yeah. I think that's pulling up the flowers and stuff or plants in the park.
I guess we could do something about
I
that.
remember there was something,
carry away would include cut if you cut flowers. Carry away would include cut, but there's not the word cut there, but remove, carry away.
was it referring to combining from somewhere else? I don't
New
know.
labor be cut.
Oh, okay.
so D is dirt, F is green things, things that grow.
Yep, pretty much.
And they're gonna use common sense, but I see little kids go pull flowers all the time. That's little kids.
Yeah.
I think the intent was not to, like,
Go dig up this is a pretty plant, I want to take it with me.
right,
I like that tree. I want to remove that, put it in my yard.
yes.
Like
They-
what I saw you moving the other day.
No, I'm taking that from somewhere else. It's okay. I've already marked them.
People actually, believe it or not, come down to the park and dig up plants.
Right.
Elephant ears,
I'm not
they
giving it
dig
to
up
Sam. I
those.
don't care what he says. I'm gonna lose 2 trees as it is, and I'm gonna take them instead.
Take them from the
I
park.
should take a bunch. I don't have any
I'm
trees
sorry, it's my
anymore.
idea. You know, this is, no.
Now you gotta help me.
So this is kind of a catch-all. In
Jail
G,
to reviews.
if a more destructive behavior, if they get told to leave the park, they don't, then that's itself destructive behavior.
Okay, so this will lead me to the part where I wanted to talk about. And the people from the Parks Committee.
People on the Parks Committee have no authority in the parks.
Okay, so like.
They serve as an advisory board to the city council, and that is the extent of their responsibilities, duties, or charges.
Have they been told that? Because like.
He is correct.
I've had to send emails to that effect in the past.
So here was my thoughts on it, and that's what I was saying.
Maybe we have an orientation once a year as we get into summer to make sure.
Coming up quick.
I totally agree with that statement. They advise us.
Because Dr. Latimer, right, he goes down there all the time and I hear him say use the words, hey, when I was assaulted, when I was accosted, whatever the term he wants to use,
Mm.
right? But you didn't have the right to talk to these people. You know, you got to look at what was going on. So we can do one of two things. What I'd like to either say is,
I would just say peace officer, period.
well, I mean, the mayor,
officer or
you're
mayor.
down there, y'all are city officials. But if y'all are going to go down and do that, I think.
Only the mayor, only the mayor has police power separate from the police. I have none.
Okay, what I would like to see, if we're gonna leave this verbiage in there, if we're not gonna change this verbiage, the Parks Committee or city officials, if y'all go down there and see something, notify us.
There you go.
Call us, don't try to
Yeah.
contact the people,
Mm.
call us, we have someone on duty, we're on duty all day long. We will go down there and address those issues. I wouldn't mind having the Parks Committee, if they want to do this, especially on the Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend, our big weekends when we're going to get inundated with people. To maybe have some spotter type people to go down there and say, hey, I see this is a violation, because we can't be at all of them. And we also got other.
And once they see you, they're gonna stop doing whatever they're doing.
Right, when they see us, because we got to walk all the way down there. So if the Parks Committee wants to donate their time and say, hey, let's go down there, I see this group of people over here with cans, call us, we'll go address it.
But
Like a spotter type situation.
as it relates to this,
As it relates to this,
I mean, it's already illegal to refuse a order from a police officer, right?
right,
So do we need to state this? Should we state this?
It's already illegal to do what? Or what did you?
Isn't it already illegal to ignore the
well, so it's a
lawful
public,
direction from a peace officer?
here's the problem, it's a public place. I just can't go tell anyone, hey, you gotta leave the park.
But if they violate, if
If
they're
they
in violation,
violate, that's probably what he'd say, if
fail to
if they
refuse.
found in violation of these parks and because what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add them another ticket, you know, hey, you refuse to leave when I told you to do so, I'm gonna arrest you. You know,
Aggravating charge.
Yes.
Class C plus.
Yeah.
Is going to be, could it move this to the penalties?
no, I'm thinking either, if found in violation of one of those, you'll be asked to leave the park. You could be asked to leave the park, because not everybody, some people are good, but hey, I got my ticket, I'm just gonna put myself away.
Should we take our city personnel, that should be taken out, right?
Well, maybe you can take this one all the way and put it down in the penalty area, like you were saying. Maybe you can say, hey, in addition to the penalty, you may be asked to leave the park for the day, and refusal to do so will result.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, should we do a 3 strikes, you're out? If you have a constant problem with this particular individual and they do 3 times, they're banned for life.
No, because then, no.
Are banned for
if
6
you found
months.
in violation, you could be asked to leave the park, and refusal to do so would be.
But they show a pattern of that, can you, because I heard in San Marcos, they've actually banned people. They've had some troublemakers and they banned them.
What does, what, do that from a city council standpoint.
Yeah, we can, what we would do then is, yeah, come to, maybe come to city council and say, hey, this person, Adrian's been at the park 4 times, I've written 4 tickets for whatever violation, we need to ban Adrian from the park. City council sends a criminal trespass warning, says, hey, you're banned from the park, and I sign off on it, say, Adrian, you can't go to the parks anymore. We need to go back up in there and put littering.
Littering, yeah. Sure. But, okay, so are we putting that in chapter 9, well, point 99? Because the way I see it is in the signage, you could include whatever the penalty and to also word that in there. So it might flow. Unless it's not a real, unless
I think-
penalty has a
Yeah, where?
higher standard that mistake.
Where should we put?
I thought littering was already covered.
No,
It's not.
it's not.
Trash and littering is 9327.
I just think.
Oh, so we haven't gotten to it.
Yeah, it's 27. I remember that.
Oh.
Scroll down.
Oh, the 90.
Are you taking city personnel out?
Yeah, we'll move that. I just, maybe moving it to 99.
What's?
Trash and littering.
Oh, yeah.
So will we kick anybody out of the park for any of the other violations within this ordinance?
Okay, it is covered.
Okay, yeah, we can do it.
That's right, because when that person littered down here,
It was on the side of the roadway, and there's no littering for the city.
and yeah, so we
So
don't
we
have
don't-
that addressed
That's
as
another
far as
issue, yeah.
littering for the city, because it was in the park ordinance, but not in the city ordinance.
Okay, so you've cleared up G, right? We're good?
I'll move G and put only police officers.
Okay, so 7, care and custody of minor children.
We were gonna change 8 to 12.
Yeah.
That's a, that looks good.
Does anyone have a problem with that? 12? We actually spent a lot of time talking about that one, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Boy, childhood has changed,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was 8 years old, I was running around it.
Twins.
You remember Halloween? We'd go trick or treating. I'd get like a grocery bag, like this full.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. That candy sure didn't last long. And all of a sudden I had all this candy. Then in the day, there was hardly anything left. What happened to the candy?
You ate it.
No, Mama got rid of it.
Oh,
That's a good mom.
It disappeared.
but
Where's
it
that?
was fun getting it, right?
It was fun. What all that candy, what happened to it?
Should it be 12 or any child?
But we decided you had to
Any
define
child 12 years old or younger.
younger.
I think I've seen in most parks that any child, because how's a child going to prove they're 12? They don't have a state ID.
You ask them, they'll tell you.
I'm totally flexible. I'm not a parent, so it's y'all's
The
call.
whole objective was they didn't want a 12-year-old being responsible for an 8-year-old at the park without, someone over 18 being present. So that was the premise of it, was not having a young person responsible for another young person when there's water, involved.
Do they 12's a good number?
Yeah.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time talking about it.
Okay, let's go. Everybody agree?
12?
Yeah, I'm happy.
No,
Go.
this is just in the parks. This is
Stopping
not-
them from getting in the
Yeah.
river.
Yeah, I mean, and there could be a risk associated with a child by themselves, not just in the water, but on playground
It
equipment.
just said the child must be accompanied by a person at least 18 years or older. If they're under the 12 or younger, they must
Enter
have-
the park
Yeah, in
completely.
the park.
So,
Okay.
okay, let's go to the next one. I agree. Let's go on.
Motor vehicle is no brainer.
Let's go.
This
Next
is the
one.
fun one.
Next one.
Yeah.
Possession of alcoholic beverages, there was a whole bunch added.
Yeah, well, this is the San Marcos, that's the example of the San Marcos one, so. You scroll down, and look on it, and on your pad, you
On
can,
your pink notes.
and your pink notes on the right, So this is page 6, zoom in, you can.
Okay,
So
wait.
That's what these are San Marcos's regulations.
I have a question though, really quick about traffic and motor vehicles. How do you define operation area, parking or operation area? What's that defined as?
Maybe some definitions.
Operation area. I don't know what that is.
Where are you at?
There is its definition, operation area.
Oh, traffic.
Yeah, it says designated parking or operation area.
I don't know if there's an operation area. There's a motor vehicle. Operation area.
Designated parking area. Why would we need what do you think it means?
Well, I mean, like,
If you're getting in and out of the water.
Okay,
But
yeah.
We don't want.
In
them to
Allen
go.
Bates, I've actually been there, and I've had a guy drive his car all the way down, lift the center cone thing out, drive all the way down to unload and unload.
Was it Sam?
Sam,
I wonder how we.
He lifted, I'm like, you're not allowed to drive here. Right?
yeah. And so I guess that would be considered the operation area, because there could be times when you open that up and have people parking down there.
Only to park, but not to offload their
Right,
crafts.
right. So, but I think section B answers that, or the number B.
Needs closer.
And employees of the city and paid park maintenance personnel,
I think.
or Jeffrey.
So basically it tells all other citizens that they have to park solely in the designated parking spaces. And I agree with you, I take off that all operation areas, I take off, or I would end it with.
Designated parking
Yeah,
period.
designated.
Okay, thank you.
Because it's.
Because on a particular day, you can designate it in different areas parking.
Yep.
And we'll designate, I'm opening this up and let everybody park here for whatever.
Okay.
Then it'd be designated.
Parking areas, okay, parking areas are restricted to people using the park. What we're getting a lot now is people in bicycles come and they park, but now they're gonna have to pay to park. But people in bicycles park their cars here, are gone all day long.
Yep.
People park in the park and they're gone all day long. But maybe now if they have to pay to park, then they won't be taking up a parking space during the day and be gone all day long.
But you know what? Those cyclists that are here on Saturday, they also go to the cafe.
And spend money, yeah. But I've had complaints about them taking up parking spaces here downtown.
Oh, yeah, it was, what, 3 weeks ago, it was 18 of them.
Wow,
Yeah,
On the
there were
weekend.
a lot.
that's crazy.
They were one of them, they were just going to use the restroom before they took off. Some of them got something.
well, I know that's what they do in, we talked about this before, what they do in San Marcos, they allow up to 2 hours parking, but that's a whole nother subject.
Okay,
We won't talk about it. Okay.
9309, this is your specialty.
Yeah. But it's already in our, it's already in our ordinance, Steve. It's already there. The city,
Yeah, but
That's
read the
just
San
the park.
Marcos one, there's some
The
stuff.
park.
So,
park.
yeah, it has all of that to the side.
You wanna do all that?
So I believe what we were going to do is mirror San Marcos's regulation, which basically, it's a public display of alcohol ban. And then we would also include a mention of our disposable container requirement. Non-disposable container requirements.
Public display of this it is unlawful for public to consume display within a city park, pretty clean.
Where it gets dirty is item C, but that's to prevent conflict with any state statute regulation, I imagine.
But then you're gonna apply the disposable container ban,
Yeah.
even though you have C one that contradict each other.
No. Because you can, the vessel that the alcohol is in is separate from the actual, the act of consumption.
Correct.
One is the act, one is One is an act by physical act, one is possession.
Yeah,
But I thought Tommy was saying, or we just said that he doesn't want to enforce disposable containers or alcohol in the boat or the canoe because they're just coming through.
no,
and coming through real fast.
let's not even go there. I mean,
You wanted to go there. You
No.
wanted to make it in the river though.
Well, I
That's
mean,
what we
that-
decided.
Stop every speeder, you know.
I mean,
He's gonna get
that's,
One of them says that you can have alcohol if you rent the designated space. It is an offense up to prosecution,
Within a special event contract.
yeah,
which we don't have, but leave it there.
the future.
But aren't we gonna do that with that permit?
Well, it doesn't say that we're allowing alcohol. We'd have to,
It would have to be in the contract.
it'd have to be in the contract. And we're not gonna put it in at this point. It's something you leave open-ended for in the future. If someone wants to
If
do
someone
it.
wants to, a wedding wants to rent out.
Exactly. One wants to rent it out, and then they're gonna have to have an insurance policy that covers
So
consumption of alcohol.
at the moment, we'll put that in, but this is gonna be something addressed at that special event permit, because verbatim special event contract.
Okay, what about D then?
Well,
Or D then, standing, sitting, or walking on the water's edge. That's in the park, so we're saying it is not permitted in the park.
Mhm.
Okay,
So basically, if they're in the vessel, Olay, and if they're not in the vessel,
Yeah,
they're in the park.
they're using the actual park, not the,
Because how do they get there? Exactly.
and probably by the time that they fly through our park,
It's not enforceable. Exactly.
but what if they're in the canoe and the beer is in the canoe and they're getting out of the river in the park and just carrying their canoe to the car?
Public
with the-
consumption at that point is then considered a violation of the act.
Yeah.
Where it does, and it's limited to public consumption?
yeah, because this is consumed, well, I guess display, but
They're displaying.
if they're
They're
trying
not
to
in
get
the
out
park.
of the river,
Yes.
isn't there that rule where they're just trying to get out of the river?
Right, and it's not being consumed or
They're
displayed.
not using the park as an enjoyment or as leisure, but they're just getting out of the river.
Hmm, okay, that's
But-
fine.
If you're hanging around with your family and they're sitting down, they're resting at,
I think it's worded very well, actually.
Are we gonna talk about how we're gonna condense all this onto either the Park Mobile app or a sign?
Park
after
mobile
all
app
this?
is not it's not park information. It is
Parking on.
parking for your vehicle only. It's just a payment service.
But we need to talk about later about what we're gonna put,
You can we can format a message on the receipt saying, congratulations, you've paid. By the way, here's the rules.
There you go.
But I mean, again, at least I agree with what you're saying. If you have some signage that the ones we use at the park had, we're trying to use, friendly message. Not the no, but the friendly message, like, pack out what you bring in, ordering, littering is still
and I
an
have,
issue.
not here, but that's another subject.
Yeah. and
Well, I
so,
mean,
we can use that signage, if you will, and post it in the message, thank you for coming to the parks, and then like a flash, hopefully of something.
Yeah.
Simple, stupid.
well,
Yeah.
once we're through with all the ordinances, then I might bring this up at the tail end, because if we have this old sign, which I'm not putting this sign back up, okay? Because number one, the ordinance numbers are wrong.
Yeah.
It has no, and you can't read it. And so I'm not putting this back up.
Yeah, it's nice.
This is,
This is recyclable.
okay, so, but.
I don't know if
then
there's
we
It's
have
collectible.
signs.
It's history.
So far with this sign, we say that the time is wrong, that it's gonna say 7
Yeah, we
instead.
just did those
Well,
because we needed something
so
at
what
the
are we-
time.
What do we,
Even after today's meeting, the time is still 8.
No, it's 7.
Until it's.
So
So
done.
after this meeting is a workshop, no formal
Oh, that's
decision.
true. That's true.
okay, so, I mean, we need to determine as soon as possible after we go through all this, what are we gonna put on the sign?
I mean,
Because
but
we don't have any
first we need
signage
to
up.
get the ordinance
Let's
adopted.
go, let's
I
keep
know,
on,
but
let's
I'm,
keep on
I'm
track.
just asking, what is the conclusion of all this? Is it just to bone up all of this, or will this?
We have
this
bone this
relate
up
to
first.
this?
Yeah, we have to finish
At,
this.
at a later date, after this ordinance has been revised and passed by the city council, we can start discussing signage, and verbiage on signage.
We could
But
do it,
first-
we could do it the same night.
Yeah.
There you
You
go.
know, we can put discussion action on ordinance, discussion action on the ordering of signs to reflect the updated ordinance.
Or we could have the Parks Department do it when you bring it to the city.
That could take months.
You better call Jeff, tell him right now, get on it.
So, well, I'm just asking then, the only thing about is the 7 or 8 o'clock. Should I, could I, will I put this sign back in Allen Bates Park?
Yes.
Let me ask you.
It reflects our ordinances.
So where are you putting this sign?
Well, there's two thoughts on that. Before, it was on the 2 telephone poles going in, but then you wouldn't see it because it's up too high. I want to see it in the middle of, before you get to the basketball court and as you're coming from the parking lot. It's going to be like, or should it be at the entrance to the parking lot? So,
We can't put it at the entrance because you have no motorized vehicles beyond this point, and then there's the parking lot.
okay, so it's going to be after the parking lot then.
Where should we
So-
do?
I'm thinking my thought is one halfway down that trail so that everybody sees it, and one at the very beginning of that other side where y'all drive through, that one
Well, we
little.
only have one sign.
Oh, we only have one?
Well, we can order one more of these
With the
today.
If we're gonna be changing.
Well,
them.
then say 7 then. The new one will say
Well, we
7.
can't say 7 until the city. council.
Right, so let's continue finishing.
Yeah,
this.
let's-
Okay,
Let's
so.
continue, go.
Okay, no, I'm.
Put it back up.
And so where are they putting the river park?
We have one, you mean at Bates?
Let's go to the next one.
Phase 1, we have one of those signs.
So it can't say no motorized vehicle behind us.
Okay, we go, we're gonna-
It goes past that.
Well, we.
Oh,
We've got it right at the entrance of the.
This one just says to remove
Okay.
Oh,
references.
that's
Fine.
good.
When we get to the container, we
We've
skip
done
it.
the container.
Okay, we done it? Okay.
Oh, there's another one I messed up here.
But the container, is it,
Wow. Okay.
isn't that the container? Wait a minute, we didn't go to the,
No, we did.
It's part of the alcohol ban.
Yeah. Here it is.
okay. Enter,
Enter disposable container.
gotcha, okay.
Then mentions of, look at the New Braunfels number display of alcohol, glass, and the styrofoam.
Okay. Okay,
We'll include,
I don't know if we have no styrofoam.
no, but to potentially include it.
okay.
Is that something you guys would want to ban?
What, styrofoam? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that's, that crap, that's bullshit. Oh, disintegrate, it's,
Yeah, it's not healthy. It's bad.
oh, good.
Are we putting that, where are we putting that though?
That same disposable container that,
Because we have a separate whole section on glass.
either we put it under possession of alcohol or revised 9310 on prohibited materials or prohibited
I'd say 9310, that's containers.
containers.
Prohibited containers.
That's where it
That
goes.
makes more sense.
9310, yeah.
So
I put it in there.
Oh, disposable containers, is that what
Yeah,
you're
we're gonna put that, we're
mentioning?
gonna put that in there.
And,
Glass beverage.
well, it has to be more than glass. It has to be.
No, that's what we're saying,
Styrofoam.
it'll be all
We're
plastic.
gonna reword 9310 instead of saying glass, is restricted beverage containers, and then have a list of glass, styrofoam,
Okay.
plastic.
Because
again.
glass beverage container is different than your pickle jar and everything else.
Yeah.
The Coke bottle.
Like, is aluminum okay or not, you know?
No,
No, so no disposable containers.
no disposable, yeah, anything that, you know, unless,
Styrofoam.
now if it's a Yeti cup made out of aluminum, that'd be legal. So, yeah, something like that, yeah, that's stainless steel.
One-use containers.
Yeah, we've already got that, don't we? We got that.
I could mess something up on that.
Because that's not disposable. This isn't disposable. Well, you could just, you could
No.
dispose it if
Right.
you want to.
You know what we're talking about. This is disposable.
You can't fill that up, you can't close it again, we
We got it. All right. We'll put it in there.
Before we move to 9311, I have one question about something.
Just go for chips and stuff like that, those plastic bags? Or is that also a prohibited item,
Like what?
like your Lay's bag?
They're like Ziplocs?
No, like.
Yes, that's disposable.
Takis, you know,
That's disposed, yes, that's not allowed.
that's not a container, you know.
Well, then you couldn't bring chips to the park.
But you can bring chips in a Tupperware.
Oh, no,
Oh,
come
people
on.
are not
Let's
gonna
not,
do
let's not get that particular.
So we're just getting with beverages.
Right.
I'm not gonna argue. Go ahead. Let's go on.
Okay, this, I don't know if this is in the ordinance or not, but I'm bringing this up right now since I have this nice
It's
sign.
gotta be there somewhere because we use the ordinances when we do that.
I think it is way at the bottom.
Where is it?
It's gotta
Well,
be.
it has to be somewhere.
It has to be.
But let's finish through.
Let's go.
Let's just see if we can
Let's
make
go.
a note of that, find it later.
Let's
It's under animals.
go. Come on.
Okay.
Let's keep rolling. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
I'm not putting this sign back. I'm sorry, it's
Okay.
historical. Maybe we can frame it and put it somewhere.
Just put it next to the,
Generation City.
Once you repaint
Give it to.
it. Okay, what we got?
Should be redone.
Okay.
All right.
But I'm sorry, I left some paint chips for the custodian guy to clean up there.
9326.
all right, so the next comment
We haven't done 25 yet.
was 9325, right? So
Well, I was commenting on the
Oh,
animals.
yeah.
here is, you might wonder if
This animal.
There you go. Here you go. Tom, what do you think? You're talking about, you had concerns about charcoal.
Yeah, I just say you can't.
It shall be unlawful.
We actually talked about banning the charcoal
Yes,
because
it's a mess.
even though we have the charcoal at the front, they're putting it down at the,
And they'll dump it out anywhere.
Here's what I'm saying. If you're gonna ban it, just ban grills totally. Because we're not gonna go up and look at someone's grill, say, are you using wood or you using charcoal or you using?
Okay.
I think
It's
so,
the same, put it in
because
there, say you
the
got.
fire hazard,
The propane ones are pretty easy to tell.
Huh?
Little propane, Coleman camp stoves.
I've got a Weber, the camper one, and it's on a tank, on a twisty tank. It's only,
That okay, chief?
So are we taking the grills out of Allen Bates Park? Is that what we're saying?
no
Designated
personal,
areas.
Where's it
no
designated?
personal.
no personal grills or something along those lines.
We had,
They allow propane in San Marcos, right?
It does still have a pro.
But they allow, I've had people
Here, right
ask me,
here.
is it all right if I bring propane? But it does say you can use propane near the picnic table.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, down at this park, we have grills set up out there.
Well, we're saying it
Yeah, the personal
designated
grills.
So you're
areas.
gonna cut those out?
No, we're saying it's allowed in designated spots.
He's talking about cutting them all
Yeah,
out.
but
the issue is how, if I'm going down the park, how am I get rid of the charcoal?
because you're gonna leave it in there if you go use those ones that are there.
That's the issue is we're leaving a fire hazard.
What we had in the Presidio is we had smaller metal garbage cans that said for charcoal only, and they were right adjacent to the grills. And that if someone, as it said, if they wanted to clean the grill out before they left, they can clean it out and put it in the
We're not gonna
little
do
metal
that.
garbage
we're
can.
not gonna do it.
I think I agree with the chief. Just ban it, ban it, just ban it. Let's ban it. If you want to take a personal propane,
Yeah, that's.
we'll allow that, but no,
The problem we have is most of these charcoals were meant to be near a beach. We got nothing burning there.
yeah, so let's just
Here,
ban
If it
it.
doesn't burn, they leave it down, we're gonna have a fire.
Let's just ban it. Like you said, let's ban it. Or even the ones we have fixed, do away with them.
I,
And if you want to cook, you bring your own cook stove with propane.
Just, yeah.
Okay, got an agreement there? Okay, agree.
So we're removing the grills at
Correct,
out
correct,
Allen Bates
correct,
Park.
correct.
Is that what we're saying now?
Yes, yes.
I think your two fellow council people are saying yes.
Okay.
You
What's the
get a
biggest chance
second
we're gonna get?
chance to vote.
Yeah, we haven't approved it.
You can talk
Yeah,
Nick
we're
and
just
Sonia for
talking
you.
right now. Sonia and Nick aren't here. They
You could,
might.
you could get it passed if you
Well,
want.
are we not gonna pass all this until they read it over, right?
Well, this is the workshop.
Yeah.
No
So
action.
no action.
Okay. No, I have seen enough charcoal briquettes dropped on the ground.
You agree with
The
us,
mayor and I has in phase one, yes. I mean, I hate to see those grills go, but we don't have a place for the
You
spent
agree.
charcoals to
And
grow
we're
in.
having enough trouble just getting the garbage.
You agree.
I agree, Mike.
Let's go. Next
I
one.
agree, I agree.
Let's go. Next one. I'll be like Jan Bunker. Let's go.
Are you waiting for something at home?
Just get it done.
I guess this
You're
is not
coming
necessary.
back at 6:30, right?
Mm-mm.
Um,
What's the six, what do you got?
Is this necessary?
There's a town hall meeting at
Wait a
6:30.
minute, wait a minute. We're still gonna let them bring a propane grill in there. You're gonna add that in there.
Am I?
Yes.
Yes, I thought we allowed
Okay.
propane now.
The question was, are we going to include the reference ordinance as a replacement to what we currently have?
That's the San Marcos one, right?
I believe that's San Marcos, yeah.
Looks like
The
it's
number-
that
the number
58.
looks like it.
Yeah, 58 is.
Oh, they approve electric cooking appliances.
No, it's unlawful to use any type of electric cooking appliance.
What?
It's unlawful. Read it.
You
It
said
is
you mean-
Unlawful.
Unlawful for a person to do the following.
Charcoal or.
Missed that.
Okay, we're gonna ban charcoal and wood. Okay. All right.
See, they actually, what ours is, number 5, they only let them use at their grill locations. So number 5 over there on the right, on the San Marcos one, it says have or use propane grills at location other than at a department, you can't unless it's at their fixed picnic table. So obviously we have to fix the verbiage there because we don't have a fixed picnic table.
Yeah, well, we do.
And we're gonna eliminate the charcoal totally.
No, they're referring to propane.
I know the propane's no problem. We're gonna,
That's a good point, though.
It is unlawful for a person to
Yeah,
have or use a
where they're
propane grill
using
at
it.
any location other than at a department-provided fixed picnic table.
That seems fine to me because there's 5 picnic tables at Allen Bates Park. I think there's at least 5.
Yeah, and we probably wouldn't want them operating a propane camp stove or grill on the ground.
how about if we use our existing fixed barbecue pits, close them down and use those for a stand, make that a stand for the gas grill.
No, people are gonna use them for briquettes anyway. I think if
Take
we're
'em
gonna
out,
do
take
it,
'em
they
out.
need to use it at the picnic table and just.
Okay.
There's some director verbiage that probably needs to go on that, because it's referring to another, what is a director? But the concept around it's good.
I mean, you could
You
just
don't want
take
a
the
fryer,
grill
use
off the
oil,
whole
you
thing,
don't
and
want-
have like a table,
Those are the things that we don't want them dumping on the.
use a stand, take that whole pit off, but use the post and make a little table out of it, so you put a gas grill on it. Save
It still
Probably
looks,
gonna want a grill, wouldn't
it
they?
still looks like a grilling
But
device.
if you took the grill off and the pan, the whole, and just left the post and a little piece of steel for a stand. I
Well,
don't
no, because it's a box
So what
on
if
top
we-
of the post.
Compromise and do what Sam was saying initially, is have a metal box for charcoal bricks, right? And then let's designate an area on both parks and say, hey, you can cook only in this particular area and this particular area. Then you can have any pits you want with it, then you stick them on like an area. So when they do that here barbecue cook-off, you just have an area, that's the only place you can cook in. So if people do bring their stuff, hey, this is the only place you can cook in. There's a place to dispose your stuff and everything else. So then you get to dispose of everything.
But then we're allowing charcoal and wood again, right?
But you got a place for them to dump it.
We don't have a place.
That's just,
No, it's not-
Well, we can buy small
do-
metal garbage cans. It's, and then put
nah,
a
just do away with it. I think.
chain on it. Let's hold that at debate slightly. We need to see what Sonia and Nick. say
Well, I mean, they
about
can
that.
debate it when we pass this thing.
Yeah.
Let's just go on. They can you can make your comments when we're going through the vote system. Let's go to the next one.
Well, what do you think about cooking though?
Cooking, gas.
If you cook allow anything?
Propane, they let you do propane
Propane
on the table.
on the table.
So when the grills are like the little Weber grills, the little tabletops, they do them on the table. We don't want them doing them on the ground, like Jerry said, you don't want them on the
So in phase
ground.
one, we don't have any.
So no grilling
We may get some picnic tables there.
eventually. Okay. When we get our paid parking, so we got money.
Up the ground by 3 feet, so,
Or is in a designated area.
yeah, yeah.
I'd like-
It's something to be discussed, but the biggest concern I have is fire. That's the number one thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
With charcoal, I'm concerned about them leaving it because you and I know this weekend, come back on Tuesday, and go
Charcoal.
down the river and you'll see charcoal
Everywhere.
everywhere,
Average.
on the
Ban
river.
it, ban it.
And that's not good for anybody.
No, it's not.
I, since Nick is a barbecue,
Yeah, but Sam, we can discuss,
Barbecue guru.
we can
I would just like to
discuss
see
this when we.
Yeah.
Let's go to that. We'll
Okay.
discuss that. We're just,
Here, just to remove any comments about the picnic table.
Person, okay, so what was B on that?
I wonder why.
No person shall drop, throw, or otherwise scatter lighted matches, burning cigarettes, cigars, or other flammable material, and the comment was except in designated areas.
what?
Oh, yeah, an ashtray maybe.
Like you sit up in the parking lot?
There is no designated.
There's no, we should.
I know.
What's that? We got a smoking area at the park?
No, we don't.
Yeah, I think that.
Remove this?
I don't know why we
You want
said
to keep that, or do you want to?
I take it.
it doesn't say anything about the cigarette. Once it's spent though, people throw cigarette butts on the ground.
We should
all
allow
the time.
cigarette butts on, that's littering. We should say, can we say no person will drop, throw, or otherwise scatter lighted match, burning cigarettes, or cigarette butts, or
Or spent or
cigarette, yeah, something
burning or
lighted matches.
finished cigarettes. I don't know why.
Flicking your cigarette.
Cigarette,
Spent, huh?
Or cigars.
have we put that in there? No cigarette butts? There you go, that's for him.
I mean, we can.
Let's put cigarette,
He just got banned from the park.
So we just leave it as is? I mean.
can we add spent cigarette, or say cigarette butts?
Well, it
Just for the
does
littering,
say
that part of
lighted
littering.
Burning or
Cigars, tobacco, paper.
Drop, throw, or otherwise.
That's, cigarette butts are a problem, they really are. Let's put cigarette,
burning or spent. I guess it's called spent cigarette butts.
What is that?
we agree with that? Okay,
I'm
we
just
got,
gonna stand up, man.
2.5 so far.
is that good, we got it? Okay, next one.
Animals, there you go, Matt. Sam. Simply,
And there's droppings, okay.
simplify.
Ownership custody of any of animals.
I guess we just put to allow any,
Or should we put trash and littering, we could put cigarette butts in there maybe. Is that right? You gonna put it there, Adrian? That'd be better? On the littering. Well, go ahead and get the animals first.
No, but this is under, littering, this is just, you can't throw one that's still going.
oh, yeah, I see. your
Littering,
point.
littering.
Let's just include cigarette, just put cigarette butts on there. Paper cans, cigarette butts. We'll add that to the littering. That'd be easier. That makes more sense. Agree with that, Sam? I don't want to overrule you. We'll take cigarette butts and make it litter.
Okay.
Okay, agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next one.
Was there anything on the animals?
Why did we say simplify? I forget.
It's
Exercise.
wordy, but
Pesticides control,
it accomplishes it. I think.
Do we want to have a mud mitt station in the park with bags? Or just think that people are gonna do it. It sure is convenience, but that's an added expense to buy those bags.
And then
Maybe
then when it floods, it gets wiped, it gets blown down the river.
Okay,
Okay, good enough?
but then you've got a disposable bag and that's not permitted.
Yeah, let's go, okay. Elizabeth, that's, okay, you gonna put the cigarette butts in that one? Got it? Okay, camping, here we go.
No camp.
No overnight camping.
Boy, we were watching that one motorhome that was floating around town for a while.
Yeah, that's the one that's so.
We end up like LA and San Francisco, have RVs all over the place.
It's a replay for 4 months.
I think we need to say city park or parking lot, because someone could park in the parking lot and say, well, it says no overnight parking or camping in the park. Doesn't say anything about the parking lot.
That's why I want to make Sculls a park.
No, that's camping. That's different. No, let's not go there now. We're just starting to calm down about that.
See, it's part of it. That way we already got it covered, because that RV is hanging out there by Sculls. I've seen that old junker down there, but
No camping unlawful to camp. I want to say parking lot as well as park. That's all.
okay, I got that. You know what? You want to put that in there? You got to.
You don't want people to camp in
Hey,
the
I
parking
agree.
lot.
Did
I
we go
agree.
past animals?
We got it. We got it already. Sam, I agree with you, dude.
The other comment was to simplify.
Are they camping
I
there?
just agree with you.
Are they camping there at Scull in the RV? Is that what you're saying?
They're hanging out there. I don't know. But you know what? I agreed with you at the parking lot. Done. We're not arguing. I agree. Next.
93 or 30A, wildlife. It says other than fish. It says that you should be able to remove fish. What do you guys think?
Yes.
I tell you what, you know what I would say? If they want to remove water moccasins, go for it. I'd be all for it. Take all the water moccasins you
We
want.
had some pretty big ones in our backyard.
Water moccasins?
Mm-hmm.
One swam up, Claire was down at the Allen Bates. One
Really?
swam up Right up to
The,
Mm.
compliment.
it's like, yeah, those things are. Those snakes
We got one
scare
in
me.
the backyard that just loves, I know exactly where it's nested, right in the corner in the back.
Kill it. Kill that sucker.
My daughter comes up with the skin the other day, she goes, there's 2 of them, Dad. I'm like, I know where the
Kill those
I know where the
moccasins.
hole is. I know where the hole is.
I was taking off my deck last weekend.
Uh-oh. That's never good.
I don't know what kind of snake it was, but it was like 4.5 feet
Mm.
thick. Oh my, freaked me out.
I know,
Where
we're
at? Where's it
cleaning
at?
up and the girls go, what's this hole? I'm like, I know what that hole is.
You know, water moccasins, you tell them water moccasins, they swim on top of water.
You know what I'm talking about?
Just their head.
I'm like, then they're like,
See,
where are
on
these
top, that's,
snakes
they're on the top,
Remember
that's
that
water
hole
moccasins.
I just- that's why it's right there.
So we'll just include fish, not be part of
You
the.
could add, take all the water moccasins you want.
So they can fish and remove fish in the park, we're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then, so wouldn't that release any fish, bait?
External, they don't want you to bring fish and put it in the.
No, you don't want an invasive species.
Goldfish. and-
Yeah, that happens in some markets.
It does, they do that. They had the armor fish, I saw them down at the dam, the armored fish, armored
And if-
catfish.
And if you say aquatic organism, that could include turtles as well, because a lot of times people's turtles get too big and then
Okay.
they put them in the river. I like all of that seems fine.
Okay.
Use any water drinking fountain. Well, we don't have any water or drinking fountains, but I don't know if we need E right
Okay,
now.
good, so we do. Okay, that looks good. Now what about overnight? No overnight, right?
Yeah, that's what included.
It's included, no overnight camp. So we stay, we're talking past 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
this should. It's
okay,
understood.
that's good, okay.
Yeah, and then this one, yeah, sell, offer, or provide any goods, so they can't go and start selling stuff.
Scott, okay,
That was pretty simple.
okay.
Okay, I got a question about that, because the library had the kite festival, and that's when our ordinance guy got in a conflict with them about it. The next year, they said that we are just giving the food away. They are not selling it. Sell, offer, they were giving.
Wouldn't that be a special event?
Here says,
Well, it says
except by,
activities.
except by authority of an approved concession contract or permit property issued by the city.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
okay,
So,
I see.
That would be a special event. They could have sold
yeah,
food or.
Yeah, they told the city
kites or
council that we're
whatever.
gonna say, we're gonna be doing a food.
There you got it. All right, looks good.
Well, they didn't even have a permit.
They didn't really want one and.
Well, they're gonna have to want one and have one if they have a
They
kite
just
festival
really want
again.
one and
Moving on.
plus,
yeah.
So, moving on.
Moving on, yeah.
Yes.
we were, the year before, we were kind of co-doing it. Actually, Sonia started the kite festival and then the library kind of took it over.
Okay, we're down 93.34.
Cited.
Yeah,
Oh, to include a penalty?
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
There already penalties exist.
He said you had to use the word cited in order for him to write him a ticket. Otherwise,
Oh.
you're just confiscating the goods.
There we go.
Because otherwise you're like, well, I left my trailer that I don't want anymore. Oh darn. Thanks.
What's this landfill versus recycled trash? The mayor of the business of city parks and facilities.
Which one?
It says on the
They
comment.
probably put that in when COVID came around, would be my guess. Because they closed the parks.
No, I mean, it could,
I mean-
the city or city council may do it for any number of reasons.
Or if there's
If
a
it's
flood.
There's flood, say there's a swarm of killer bees, shut the park down, you know, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you would deem as kind of an emergency type situation that would health, safety or welfare.
Yeah, I wasn't
Or resources.
criticizing.
Now, if you wanted to abuse your powers and say, I'm preserving the park resources by closing the park forever, then I'll fight.
That'd go over well, wouldn't it?
I don't think that's.
It's like shutting down Skull's parking lot for the
It's
canoes.
plausible to do it, but I don't know if it's politically feasible.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a reason.
I didn't hear that comment just then.
You did you catch it, Mr. Clinton? Did you catch it?
All right, so the other ones that, no generators. Generators, yes or no?
God, you're cantankerous.
Where does
Wolf.
that?
Well, this was
You
things
like to
that were
argue
gonna
with
be,
me.
I remember we like threw on these lists of stuff that was not covered.
Yeah.
Are we allowing generators or not allowing generators?
No generators. None.
What would be the purpose of it?
What?
I guess if
Power
you
the
had a
bouncy house and power bouncy house
In lieu
down
of getting a permit.
down at phase one.
No generators.
That's why you'd want a generator.
because then they wouldn't have to get a permit and then they, as you're
We
right,
don't
they can bring a
no
bouncy
generators. I
house
agree
with
with
a
that one.
generator.
Okay. Keep it.
Now, what did we say? What was canopy fence? State law was.
Canopies in the river.
Yeah. Or if we can ban them or not. And I think Mr. Goins had mentioned something about that, how they,
They don't allow it in their camp.
That's why we need to make Skulls a park, because all these rules would apply to
so
it.
is that canopy ban on the river since we're gonna assume authority over the river?
Well, like, it follows what Jared said earlier, you're blocking access. It gets like putting rocks up. If you put canopies up, people under the canopies, you're blocking the.
That's a Texas Parks and
Yeah.
Wildlife rule
Yeah.
though, too.
Yeah.
They have a rule about that.
Do you wanna do that?
Yes.
No, yeah, no, not in the water.
Yeah, I'm talking in the water. Are you talking about the park or in the water?
No canopy or tent structure.
In water.
In water.
No, I remember that conversation.
So we keep, what about canopies in the park? Canopies in the park?
That's fine.
Okay, no problem with that. Keep going. So landfill, I guess you're just defining trash.
Yeah, I guess we could.
I don't know.
Is that might come in handy with the banned material for the, how do I put it? That trash.
Yeah.
May need to be defined. Trash, landfill, recycled, maybe defined into definitions. And then when we're talking about the styrofoam and the material that disposable containers.
Yeah, but
Might use that language.
nobody is gonna enforce this by checking in someone's trash bag that they're either removing from where they've been sitting in the park or in their car if they have recycling, landfill, or whatever in the bag. No one's gonna inspect their bag as they're putting it in the garbage can. How is that enforceable? It isn't. I don't.
It's a policy you don't want to consider.
Well, I mean, you could say it and then hope people do it, but I'm just saying it's not. I think it would be too much of a burden along our police force to enforce that. I mean, maybe say, whenever possible, leave no trace or something.
No, I say leave no trace, just period. That's the rule. Or we'll ban you.
Yeah, you could probably use the same language, similar language in we're talking about the private use of the park, where you leave the park in the same or better condition. May just want to reiterate that again to the miscellaneous section.
So we also just said that we said no canopy tents in the river. And that's a Texas Parks and Wildlife because you're disrupting the flow of the river, right? Okay, what? What are we gonna do about that?
Again, we really can't enforce that.
We're gonna say the park extends to the other side of the.
Yeah, but if we're doing that thing.
Do it. I agree with Jared. Let's just go for it.
Blocking the
Let's do it.
passageway.
Let's do it. Let's just go for it.
If attorneys, and plus, again,
It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be.
Kent would be in the room for that. Actually, if we'd done
Is that
it
a
for the next
problem?
meeting, he won't be there.
So if we having our ordinance about no canopies in the river, no problem.
You gotta tie it to something that's a law. I mean, so you just can't, like, so the no canopies in rivers is blocking the passageway. That's from.
Okay, so we can do it, no problem. Okay.
So are we gonna put that on a sign? How are people gonna know that
Okay.
unless we have it on a
Okay, we'll put it in
sign?
the sign. We'll give them, we'll put it on the sign.
You could warn them first.
Let's put it on the sign.
I warn everybody on every single one of these.
Exactly.
Okay, well, should we put it on the sign? No
Well, we
canopy?
have to.
Okay, well, it's fine, let's go to the next.
Do the canopies
Well-
bother anything? Is there a reason to ban?
Because when they have canopies, they impede traffic. If you got canopies, they're gonna be in the river, underneath the canopy in the shade,
Are you
hanging
saying
out.
no canopy tents in the park?
No, the
No.
river,
In the
Just
river.
water.
just water. No, we can't ban that. You won't just get out of the sun. That's
And
no,
what if they come in from the Guadalupe County side, like right over here?
well,
Well, we're assuming and saying now that the city limits extend all the way across the river. I don't know if we can do that. I think we can only do it halfway across the river.
what do you think, Jared? You talked about it earlier, just go ahead and do it and see what happens, right?
I mean, I think that's an approach for now.
I agree. He's going to law school,
But
so
what
there you
would
go.
Guadalupe County say about that?
At least until Bud sees it. I think we write it up, we do it, and then we have the licensed attorney say, no, you can't.
Okay,
So, yeah, so.
He may not because he didn't see it as possibly inviting a lawsuit. His legal advice opinion would be to avoid that, but city council can still take action consistent not with that opinion.
I mean, because that's exactly, some people read those things and say, hey, this is gonna be fun. You know, I'm gonna give you some money out of this. And I'm gonna sue, I'm gonna set up a canopy right in the damn middle.
Well, okay, I'm just gonna play devil's advocate. When I go up and down the river, I'm seeing people just enjoying the river with their little bitty kids. And so grandma has put a canopy in the river so that she doesn't get sunburned.
mhm.
And they're sitting on the side. Usually, 9 times out of 10, they're sitting on the side. You don't have them out in the center where the passageway is, where the actual flow.
But how you
I
gonna
don't
split?
see them really.
They do it at Skulls,
Well,
they,
and that's not one of Skulls. Skulls are, they're gonna park on Guadalupe County side now. They're gonna walk down and they're gonna get in the river. We don't have no signage over there. One of them is gonna go up and say, hey, man, you gotta get that out of the river.
They do it in phase one. There's canopies in the river at phase one.
Yeah.
This is park rules. That's not a park.
Yet,
It's cover.
that conversation is
Yeah.
still.
we're
to
still,
come.
we're still discussing that.
My claws come out.
So it's gonna be, that's up for the council to
Is that
decide.
likely to happen in Allen Bates?
Not an element. Yeah, well, those
Oh,
people
yeah.
live across.
They
the
have
street.
canopies. We don't, and that's,
We see those canopies everywhere.
the problem is some places it's okay to have a canopy. But some places it's not okay to have a canopy because
And
you
then
get,
they take it with them at the end of the day.
yeah, but it depends on where you put it, the canopy. If it's on the edge of the river, like you said, but if you're in the middle of it, when the river gets narrow and you got one little channel and they're all hanging out and you got canoers coming down.
Well, how about to answer your traffic or concern, that you can't place a canopy in the way of traffic. Or where it's deep, because there's some shallow parts in there.
Navigable part.
Yeah. There you go.
That
What do you
sounds
think?
better.
I'll be flexible.
Well, I mean, here I see just as much. I mean, we're gonna say this, what about chairs? They put a whole damn line.
Yeah, if it's in the chat, yeah.
Chairs too.
I mean, people put a whole damn line of chairs sitting out there and
And
those,
they're playing music.
and well, those are the ones that, if you wanna be realistic and see the law enforcement side of it, those are the ones that cause me the most grief, because those are
Okay,
the ones.
what
that
do we
have
want, what do
Their
you,
chairs, they got the
Okay.
cooler, they got
what
the
do you,
beer.
what do you want to put in there, Tommy? How do you want to put it in there? What do you want to do there?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's.
How we word it, how we word it.
it's hard to, You
Do
know,
you
can't have
outlaw the
any,
canopies and families?
So just, is there, from council, is there an interest? That's funny. Is there an interest in regulating that? Really?
Okay.
Is that,
State law in Canada.
that is ridiculous.
Well, Sam was saying that the state outlawed canopies.
I
I
think,
thought the Texas Parks and Wildlife said that
Hang
you
on, let me
can't
call-
have
let me
Do
call-
you
canopies.
guys really want to enforce that? Is that really going to be a problem? These canopies and chairs?
If it, I think
Let
it
me
is
call-
if
let me
it's
call-
in the
let me call-
navigable part of the river.
let me
but
call
I
my
think
man.
it's
Let me
nice
call
to
Tom.
Sit in a chair.
Then
and
we'll-
sit in the river in
Let me
a
call
chair.
Tom.
I
He
would
would know.
like to do that.
Grandma has her feet in the
Yeah.
water.
Call Tom
She's
Goins.
happy.
he's been through it.
She's watching the little ones.
I think it's okay on
Hang
the
on,
side.
give me a second, got mine.
Yes.
So I'm not into killing people's fun. I just,
Hey, y'all should have stuck around. We got a question for Mr. Goins, or at least I do.
You can ask.
What about, is there any laws about canopies in the river? Is there any laws out there about banning canopies in the river?
Not unless you're trespassing. I mean, I think what needs to happen at Sculls anyway would be for Michelle would have to put up signs that said private property, launching, takeout for canoes and kayaks and, takes personal fishing access only, you know.
Yeah, but but we're talking about canopies in our park. We can't do that in our park. We can't
I
do.
don't, I think you have to make an ordinance. I know San Marcos did. They outlawed canopies and charcoal, grills, not just charcoal.
But they
grills.
did outlaw canopies on the river, correct?
Well, in the city parks, yeah.
In City Park.
Yeah.
Certain places. Okay. Okay, and they did it San, okay, we'll look up that. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I think the San Marcos ordinance does say no canopies.
Let's
in
look
the
at,
river.
can we look up
Here's
San
what it says
Marcos?
right here. Oh, I don't know what San Marcos says, but here's what the state says.
Look up
Except
San
as
Marcos.
otherwise allowed by law, a person that may not restrict, obstruct, interfere with, or limit public use of, or limit public recreational use of a protected freshwater area. So we say that, you can probably say those words and say, can't put in.
Let's look at
can't
San-
block the navigable portion of this river.
Let's look.
Limit public use.
Yeah, I could look it up, but did you hear Tommy's point?
Yeah, I heard your point.
Is that not sufficient? Before I go through.
I would make his, and then look up San Marcos too, just because they've already been through this.
It would, you'd have to define what limit public.
And they've already had it, and the biggest thing, Adrian, they've already run it across their attorney. So I would say use his point and then check San Marcos.
oh,
Because that's why I don't see canopies on the San Marcos, and they don't allow them in San Marcos. So let's just cut and paste their, would you agree with that, Tommy? Just cut and paste their,
Well, we haven't seen it.
can you pull it up? You're so quick. You're so good on that computer. It'd take me an hour to find it. What about, hey, I'm more techie than you, Sam Clinton.
Yeah, I bet you.
I know I am. At least I have a
I
whole,
know you are.
I know, so don't be told,
Who brought sandwiches? I didn't see those.
it's
I
free.
just put them out.
I'll take
I was gonna say, those weren't there earlier. It was even free.
Really? It's such a bad thing.
No, I got them
She she got it from the same kitchen that Sam
Oh,
buys the cookies from.
at the same.
Man, Sam has been argumentative today. Damn, man.
Only time I want to hear Skull is if it's Skull and Crossbones. And that's the only time I want to hear that word. Mm.
Good. Man, those are delicious.
The canopy is only referenced once, and that is something completely unrelated.
Does it say?
Land use. At least the term canopy is not in your park ordinance.
Or what about tent structure?
Oh, so I'm calling their head of their marshals.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, meals.
Yeah,
This is your pay for the year.
for the day.
I'll just bring this up real quick. Here's all the mentions of tents. Prohibited items, 1 pop-up shade tent having dimensions of 12 by. So anything smaller is permitted.
It's about water.
It's no farther than, is there,
Just tell me, Ward. Hey, give me a call back on the mobile for next year. Appreciate it.
They're trying to limit it. They're trying to limit the size of the tent. They want
Yeah,
it big.
nothing excessive, essentially. Oh, here's something. About the river.
You have to go around healthy things.
less carbohydrates.
No sleeping at the park, basically. No pop-up tents greater than 12 by 12.
Yeah,
That's a big tent.
yeah,
That is. No bigger than, so no, like commercial, yeah.
yeah. Those big old Red Bull tents.
I got a bunch of 10 by 10s.
So
Actually,
there it is right there. Place any grill, tarp, tent, or shelter. To close.
Oh, here we go, right there.
And the river.
You got it.
or restricted by sign.
There you go, right there.
That's any grill.
There you go. That's it. We agree with that, Tommy?
You probably would want to add a distance, but I know the chief doesn't want to do
I think it's
Measure.
a bit much to say closest trail, pathways, sidewalk
Wait a
and all
minute.
that. That's getting.
Tommy's
very
got to
technical.
enforce this. What do you want, Tommy?
That's too technical because that
Tommy,
would
what do you
rule
want?
out everywhere in the park practically.
because then they just ask, well, okay, how far can I move then? And as you're gonna depend on your judgment, Kevin's judgment, Rick's judgment, Andrea's judgment.
Out of the water, right?
Well,
What do you-
here says close to, not even in. It's not regulating in.
And the river.
Closest,
And the
it's not
river.
in the river,
Well,
the
it says-
river,
Yeah, it says.
And the river.
not
It says
in.
The closest trail.
Yeah.
Pathway
Yep,
or sidewalk and the river.
river.
between
Yeah, I'm not
Only
reading,
between restricted signs.
the closest.
I'm not reading that as in the river.
I
I'm reading
don't,
that as by the
I don't
river.
read that for anything.
Mm.
That's a typical, that's.
It means all over pretty much. If you're saying that.
Well,
and
you
that-
don't want a
You
tent on
can't
path.
place it if it basically says if it's restricted, don't do it. That's all that says. Anywhere except where we say you can, you know.
It's just pretty, it's very vague, you know?
What do you think, Tommy? You like that? You're the one.
I would say this, to say we can't have a period down.
Huh? What?
Not in the river.
Can't put them in the river.
Yeah, I think it's too much when we have closest trail pathway, sidewalk, that's just,
That's not very clear.
We're all in New Orleans at the Fifth Circuit. We're all sitting there like, what the hell did we do?
That's why we're having your, so
With a cafe beignet that morning, be like, that's what we came here for, right? We did this just for the beignets. The po' boy on the way out.
So how we want to
Good
work,
trip to the Fifth Circuit.
So nothing in the river, but on the bank you can.
so how would you want to, how you want
Almost, you can have them on the shoreline, but you can't have them in the water.
navigable portion of the river or.
to, no, just say that, well, what do you think, Catherine?
Probably navigable, but
That's okay.
But here,
that's vague, I understand.
No, it's not, that's, Navigable's a water park. It works.
If a canoe's trying to come down,
What's the concern here? That's all. What's the concern?
The concern is blocking, impeding traffic.
On the river
On the
with
river.
a canopy.
And as the river gets low, I mean, certain parts are, if they're,
Why don't I just leave it, how about this? Why don't we just address it by using the existing wall that's there, blockage of a passageway, and say, hey, guys, y'all gotta move it out of the middle. That, and then we can do that, say, hey, you gotta get it out of the middle.
they're gonna be kind of
because
difficult.
most people are not in the middle.
No,
I haven't seen them in the middle.
no, this is
I've
chairs.
seen
that
them
are
out
there.
on the,
Okay, so we gotta put,
so not just canopy, but include chairs.
I say don't put nothing in there.
okay,
I'm saying let's just go with the existing law, and I'll tell Rick and,
what's the existing law? Let's put, can we, let's put, hey, can we do this?
It's already there.
No, put it for state,
Where?
Right.
Where? You don't wanna,
So
so,
it talks about the rocks, right, and all that stuff.
It
Yes.
says it in, it says, if you read what it says about the rocks and everything, that.
let's put including chairs, canopies. Where's that at? Go back up to there, look at it. Cause you go back up to the, where's that at?
It's like displays.
That was disruptive conduct. That was 06, wasn't it?
Okay,
It's where they're talking about metal detectors. Here it is.
Where are we?
This is section 96, yeah, it shows kind of. Somewhere here it does talk about blocking.
rampant behavior,
9306.
disruptive behavior.
I don't see it
I
there.
don't see it. We just talked about it.
There's two sections. Let's look at the other page too.
No, it's not there.
Maybe it doesn't block.
Hmm?
I guess we do include it.
No.
Maybe you need to put that in there. It's-
Then probably that discussion was about the intent of D and F. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
not so much about the actual verbiage.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys want to include something like that to not block any passageway in the river?
Can you want to equate state law? For verbatim?
Well, the problem is, let's just put it in here to say, you can't block a passageway, because state law is a class B misdemeanor where I have to arrest them. If we do put it in here, we say you cannot block a passageway
On the river?
on the river, then we can write them a ticket for blocking a
So
passageway.
that's it, but that'll go under this, under 06, under disruptive conduct.
Yeah, I'll put it under that.
Okay, you everybody agree with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, we got an agreement. All right.
Yeah, because I've gone down there and you can't even get to the river. These guys block the whole bloody way. I've been to Island Bays and you can't get, things like, when you go walk the dog, and I can't even get to the water.
Oh, so it's not just in the water, but any way
Yeah, they'll
into
just block-
access to the
I've
river?
seen it. They'll just block the whole flipping bank. You can't even get down to the river. They do it. They'll do it this weekend.
Not just the river, but any passageway in
No,
the
no,
city.
that's what the law needs to say. It needs to say it's blocking, you know.
Passageway, which is your pathways, your trails.
Yeah, because they're
I'll
blocking.
probably need to visit the parks this weekend because it's a holiday.
Could be a
weekend,
zoo.
And just go see what's going on.
Zoo. Could be a
How
zoo.
many people are you gonna have here this weekend? You and someone else, Chew at the?
Signs for snakes.
Well,
That's a nice thing, but.
Oh, weird.
Ordinance.
Do you
Okay,
have
we
one
put that
other
in.
person
Say
on
it
call, or
again.
you the-
I think
Signs for
everybody-
snakes.
All
It's
things.
not an ordinance. So
No, it's not an ordinance.
just a
it was
nicety.
suggestion.
Woman interns?
Yeah, she's here.
I haven't seen
She's
her.
been some work with.
Okay, you got that resolved, right? Go next.
what is that? There. I think this was just me putting in the definitions. And then leave no trace. It's already mentioned the special event or the permitted uses of the park. And so I could repeat it somewhere in there. That's an interest.
Didn't we do it in one part already?
Yeah, there's one section that says, I think it's 9305, that says, you shall leave the park at its current or in a better state.
That's when they had the permit.
Yeah,
We were talking about the bouncy houses.
it's already mentioned in it. All use of the park should be
Yep. Intended that way.
Other than that, that's all of it.
Yep.
Okay,
Did we go to 9330 and I missed it? I had to
Animals,
check for CSC.
Yeah.
Hunting, fishing, and camping.
Yeah.
Are we saying no one can fish in parks?
oh, no,
You
And-
said fish.
you could pull out fish.
Or where does it say that? I'm not reading it that way.
Other than fish. We're gonna add that.
Or remove wildlife other than fish. So if they catch a fish, they can keep it.
First sight, like a bass, you got. Do we add that in there for state requirements like?
Man, I went from Couple of Falls to go down there today.
Anything else?
you see hogs down there?
Oh, all the time. And phase one, you got tons of hogs in your place.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Hogs?
they've been tearing the ground up and all that? Oh, my gosh.
I miss shooting
You
them.
got tons of hogs.
I do miss shooting them. We used to shoot them all the time.
The acres you got down there, let me go shoot them at nighttime.
You can? They're right there along the fence line by Owl Hollow there. I looked and the area was huge, but, okay, so about this weekend then, it's Memorial Day weekend this weekend, right? And so am I putting that sign up at Allen Bates Park? Then there'll
The
be
green
no
sign?
rules anywhere in.
Put it up.
the park. We have no rules.
Is this getting approved tonight?
Yeah.
No. Because we don't have, it's a workshop.
But I'm just saying in terms of the disposable can ban sign is down by the river. Anywhere near the parking lots in Allen Bates Park, there are no posted rules. So how is that? It's not gonna make his job any easier in trying to enforce things. Well, he can't because unless you're allowing me to.
Put the sign up.
Put the sign up.
I would put
Put
the
the
sign
sign
up.
up. I agree. Put it
I still
up.
can't force it.
Well, go ahead.
It's your call.
No, this is.
Yeah,
the
sure,
old
call.
sign.
Oh,
This is the old sign. Are we putting this new sign up on Friday
Yeah,
in Allen Bates?
usually the morning time, we don't have to worry about it, right? So right now we're saying this, the people that go there that early in the morning are people that we're not concerned
Yeah,
with.
correct.
To be honest with you, people going there to park,
Okay.
ride their bikes, go do whatever they're gonna do. It's the people after 9 that we need to be concerned about. So we're good with that part.
Okay.
The vehicles, everything else is there, is pretty much already in the,
Okay, so put it up. Okay. Put it up.
Do I have a volunteer to help me?
you help me with a stop sign.
Where's Jeff?
Well, you gotta.
I can help
You
you.
gotta.
I can help you.
You gotta dig holes and put the posts up and then,
I can help you. Okay.
I mean.
You got a post hole digger? You got an auger? What do you got? You got Sam McDonald with his auger?
No, I have a post hole
Oh,
digger
those are
and a
fun.
rock bar.
Oh, those are fun.
Okay, so we're putting it sort of if this is the basketball court and this is the parking lot, I'm gonna put it somewhere between as you exit.
There's out there a little wide in that trail, put it right there by that Y.
Okay. Okay,
That way, both people that come from this way or come from this way, they have to walk past that sign.
okay.
That's a good idea, yeah.
And it has to be, I think, higher than 6 feet or, I'll check the rule about that.
Okay.
How much are you gonna be enforcing like noise or, I mean, if someone, okay, I see it that if people are all there and then someone adjacent to somebody that's either drinking a lot or making a complaint, I mean, you do address complaints. But if someone is just sitting there minding their own business and drinking, I mean, once you see a can of beer that's exposed, then you can enforce it.
Yeah, I'll tell them, hey, put that away, for them. You know, it says no alcohol, but people are gonna drink, they're gonna put it in their containers. I can't tell what you got in there. You could be drinking right now,
Mhm.
You drinking vodka?
like this state. The Speaker of the House.
Okay. Okay, so I'll try and put the sign up,
Okay, we're not done.
We're not done.
No, we're not done.
Oh, man.
We have A, we
Okay,
haven't
I'm
even
gonna
done
tell
it.
you a couple of
Okay,
things.
go ahead, Mayor.
So Ruben was in a car accident. That's why the offices haven't been cleaned. He said he'll be here on Saturday. So
He's okay.
he's okay, yeah. It was a minor accident, but you know, it does a lot of damage to your car. And he drives an old truck, so he only had liability insurance. So he's without a car right now. I don't know how he got here. I didn't look to see.
It's
Anyway, so the Catholic Church is having their festival, not this weekend, but next weekend. And we've got that all worked out with Chief Warren. So, okay, we had 2 new employees start this week. Allison and James were both here on Monday. And so Allison is doing P&Z stuff and will work into her permits. And we'll do as much. She'll only work 2 days a week. And James is doing code enforcement. Okay, and that leads us into the mobile and modular home land use analysis. The RVs are a topic of conversation in this town. It is assumed that there's an ordinance against RVs. And there isn't really, and we've had a lot of discussions, so now I let Jared tell you the rest of that.
There's a river, we kept talking about it, the river committee extensively.
Well, and the thing is, it's believed that there's an ordinance. What there is an ordinance is against campgrounds or camping.
Oh, yeah, RV parks.
But the RV itself,
Oh.
there's not really an ordinance, a city ordinance. It's something that the city council may want to address in the future. I'd actually like to see the city council outlaw mobile and not modular, but manufactured homes, I guess is what you'd call them. Before 1974, I think they were called mobile homes. And after.
They call it manufactured,
But modular homes are a whole different thing.
built on site.
But
Right now, it's the RVs at the Three Rivers Church that's causing a lot of concern. And I'm getting emails about, from 2 different people. And the chickens are legal. I mean, there's an
How many chickens can you
ordinance,
have?
you can have 12,
Is it really?
according.
I got no
It's
problem with chickens.
9508.
what about a rooster
Yeah.
that starts
Well,
crowing at
A
4 in the morning?
rooster is a chicken.
No, a rooster is a rooster.
Okay, let's stay on the subject.
But anyway, when people start talking about ordinances, they don't always know what really is an ordinance. So let's go back to the RVs.
Okay, but also
Go back.
not just the church, we've got Forrest Cohen and his home that he has built on a trailer on Crockett Street. We have his RV that's there, and we also have Cody G has got an Airstream trailer on his property.
And I thought he brought it around front because he was gonna sell it.
Oh, so confusing.
Storage, it's for storage. Hey, for storage.
Has he said that?
No, it's got junk, you can see it's like junk stacked to the ceiling.
So, now it's got a lot more vehicles. So that's a little more clear cut as to what a code violation is over at Cody's. But the RVs over at the church,
Go ahead, Jared, give us your,
All right, so it's probably gonna be easiest and best for you. We'll work off this Word document, but if you wanna follow along on where we're at in the code, I would pull it up on your iPad. And you can follow along there, and you can look at the references, as we go through. I'll give you guys a second to pull that up.
You wrote this based on your experiences here, or did you write this on other stuff you've read for other municipalities?
This is an interpretation regarding the use of recreational vehicles within Martindale, according to Martindale,
ordinances.
our own ordinances. So, our zoning code is chapter 155. Within that zoning code, section 096 is the use table. Paragraph D, under that use table, provides that the zoning administrator may interpret new and unlisted uses as one of the listed uses within that zoning table, that use table. So if there's something that comes up that's novel, that's not defined, the zoning administrator is able to make an interpretation of how to define it, most closely resembling that which is already in the use table. That interpretation does not require an update to our zoning ordinance, though it can. The zoning administrator can make a recommendation to update the use table. Such an interpretation is not precluded by an ordinance update. You can simply make the interpretation. However, that must be maintained in a written record, according to everything that's done under that provision. So basically what that means is if there's something new that comes up, zoning administrator can make a written determination on it, keep that in a file, and that now becomes interpretation going forward, at least until there's a zoning update, and then it can be adopted in the zoning. Part of the purpose for that is any zoning ordinance update is a pretty lengthy and laborious process. Even for you're just doing a definition, would have to go through multiple public hearings and notifications and the rest. So,
But I just have a quick question then, before you, I don't mean to interrupt, but in terms of zoning and recreational vehicles, aren't those allowed in certain zoning areas of town, say if it's R2? Aren't they allowed based on the supplemental use table?
well, R2 is
Well,
different than
let's-
RVs. RVs are probably a type of manufactured home, but they are different.
They
in
are
that
different,
They're a camping vehicle.
totally different.
they're defined separately in our zoning.
Okay.
So under the code, chapter 3110B3, which 31 is where we have the officer employees ordinance, or codes. It identifies the city administrator serves as a zoning administrator when the zoning administrator position is vacant, otherwise not delegated. So, currently that's not delegated and it is vacant. So the powers under 096D, under zoning code, defaults to me as a zoning administrator, and thus I can make an interpretation. The use of a recreational vehicle as a continuously occupied dwelling is a new and unlisted use in our zoning code, specifically within the use table. And because of that, it is subject to an interpretation by the zoning administrator.
So the question is, when did that come into play? Because are those people gonna be grandfathered in because they've been there?
No,
No.
We talked about this,
Just
the river
it's gotta
committee,
finish-
we spent a lot of time on this too.
it's gotta finish
So-
design.
a a continuously occupied recreational vehicle is most similar to the definition of a dwelling unit under our zoning. A dwelling unit under our zoning code means a single unit providing complete independent living facilities for one or more persons. That includes living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation provisions. An RV does this.
Which would apply to the trailers in the church, because they're continuously.
Any RV.
Okay, just let's let him finish.
Let him finish, let him finish.
So when you're looking at the use within where single-family residences are at play, only one single dwelling unit is allowed within one single principal structure per lot for single-family residence in all residential and mixed-use zones. So if you're in a zone that allows for a home, as we commonly think of it, you're only allowed one dwelling unit.
Okay,
The
one,
home is the dwelling unit in that case, and so no
Oh.
further dwelling units are allowed. A recreational vehicle does not meet the definition, this kind of goes on back to the use table, of a single family residence detached, single family residence attached, duplex, garden home, industrial, modular home, mobile, or manufactured home, multifamily, or any other permitted dwelling type under the use table. It's kind of a restatement of what I said earlier, that there's no definition for it. Going down to the item H and beyond. So that means, in case, within our zoning code, there are permitted accessory uses. An accessory use is any land use, activity, or structure that is customarily incidental, appropriate, and subordinate to the principal use of the structure of the same lot, and only permitted under a certain section governing accessory uses. Think of detached garage, a storage shed, something to that effect. That comes to play later. A campground is defined within our use table, or is provided for in our use table, but is not defined elsewhere or mentioned elsewhere within our zoning code. So this gets to where that's kind of the background, actual background. Here's where the interpretation comes. My proposal is that a continuously occupied recreational vehicle for a period of more than 14 days shall be considered a dwelling unit under the zoning code if it is used in such a consistent manner as a dwelling. So if someone's living in it, including living, sleeping, eating, cooking, sanitation. However, if they say, oh, my stove doesn't work, or I don't use the toilet, the disrepair or lack of functional operation of that provision is not going to absolve you from the fact that you're still using this as a your shower and your RV is broke, so you're using the one in the house, but you're still living in it, you're still using it as a dwelling. Use of a recreational vehicle as a dwelling unit is not an allowable accessory use in any zoning district within the city. Goes back to, it has to be subordinate to the principal use. So only in a residential context, there is no dwelling unit as a subordinate to the home use. The storage and transient use of less than 14 days of an RV, I think, is a permitted accessory use within a residential district. So you can store your RV at your home. That is subordinate to the primary use. If you have family visiting and they want to sleep in it, I think that's subordinate to the, it's a transient occupation. I think that's subordinate to the principal use. It's when they have that continual use as a dwelling.
so basically you could store it there, but if somebody's living it more than 14 days, it's not allowed.
Yeah, so if I have my kids have to go sleep in it while the parents are visiting,
So
that's temporary.
I don't want to break your chain of thought. So what about the ones that have them on the river, that as a camp?
When we get there.
Okay, wait, I have a question about the storage.
Let's
Let me finish.
go through
Let me finish.
we're almost done.
Almost done.
So a dwelling unit, now there is a provision within our zoning code that allows for dwelling units for security and maintenance personnel as an allowable accessory use, only for retail, commercial, office, primary uses. That's important because though a church may be located in a commercial district. It is not a commercial use as a church. And so that would come to play in one of its scenarios that brought this issue to head. The presence of 2 or more recreational vehicles is definable as a campground. And a campground is not allowable anywhere within our zoning district except for a commercial zoning district. And even then, only with a specific use permit. So that gets to your question about RVs near the river or whatever. There's 2 or more.
Someone had 3 right over there on the
That would be considered a
campground.
campground.
What about the storage and transient use of less than 14 days? What if it's more than 14 days?
Then that would be considered a.
No, you're storing it, you're not living in it.
So
You can store it as long as
You
you
can
want.
store it, like I have my RV in my front yard.
But this says less than 14 days is permitted. What if it's more than 14
No,
days?
to-
Living in it.
Living in it.
No, but this doesn't say that. It says the storage and the storage.
And transient use.
I do storage and transit use as separate things.
Is permitted accessory use.
But what if it's more than 14 days? That says that it's,
What the transit use of more than 14 days, it would be continuously occupied, and that would be considered a dwelling.
what about storage of more than 14 days?
Storage doesn't have a limit.
Storage what?
Does not have a limit. If it's being stored, it wouldn't have a limit.
But it doesn't say that though. Oh, storage and
So
transit.
basically the ones on the river are being stored.
Well,
If are there 2 or more,
Say one, and it's used for the weekend.
I would consider that storage.
Okay. So let me bring up a couple of examples. There's over in Butterfly Meadows, that guy has 2 parked out there. And Hobson Ranch, there's an owner that has 3 parked in his backyard.
he's storing them for someone else.
Whether it's his own,
He's
he
living
has a
in it.
motor, he has a motor home,
He's
he has
living in it.
and 2 travel trailers.
I've had people complain to me about
A
that.
travel trailer or an RV? Is it,
Travel
It-
trailers, I think.
okay, maybe I-
One has a-
describe the travel trailer to me.
It's like a enclosed, like an Airstream, like one of those that
They're all
are in the
travel
church.
trailer.
It has all these amenities, just you can't drive it. So-
In Hobson Ranch.
Cause I'm going through
Yeah, we
that.
used to call for disturbance there.
Yeah, I'm going through that with my lot in Fort Davis.
And he is.
They don't allow-
One of them out.
They allow RVs if you're building a house,
People
It's a-
complain to me
but
about
self-propelled RVs are allowed
Hobson Ranch, about
to
how
be
it's
stored for a short period of time. So they specify that makes a difference. I guess
Oh, yeah,
the
like
difference,
your
the
home
difference
water.
is,
Sewer.
So if there's a presence of 2 or more,
go ahead, I'm sorry, please.
So the interpretation would hold. If you have 2 or more, you have a campground.
Gotcha.
So it sounds like he has a campground in his backyard.
No, he just keeps them there. I really, yeah.
But on this definition, you'd have a campground in his backyard.
Just because there's more.
Does he own them all? I would get 3.
I don't know why he has that one, but one's a super big, nice travel trailer, the other one's a big motor home. And the other one's just a travel trailer.
But they're not being lived in.
Well, one is right now, just found out about yesterday. Going in for disturbance.
Well, that was
His daughter, well, he had his daughter staying there, for temporary.
Again, you're pushing, number one, why does someone have 3? The river committee, we went over this, we did not, no one should have more than 2, because then you definitely are in a campground. I mean, that was the discussion, because we're picking on somebody, because it was, you know they're renting it out or doing something. It's beyond the scope of the use of the property, you know what I mean? You are now, it's going beyond the thought process of what your land is for.
Yeah, it's not a residential use at that point.
Yes, exactly.
What if someone,
And
which,
and that's on a separate lot, really, that's a separate lot. That-
Are we talking about the church?
No, I'm talking about right over here.
Oh, at
That-
Arlene Lane?
Yeah, that's on a separate lot. That's not even attached to a house. That's on a separate lot.
Oh, well, what's he got? He owns a towing company?
Yeah.
Technically, that is not attached to a dwelling. Those are just RVs. That's actually on a separate PIN number. That's a separate property address, I believe. On 99.
Yeah, you can, if you had a vacant lot, you could store an RV on it.
You can store it, that's the thing. You cannot live in it more than 14 days.
What about
So
if,
if people live in Austin and they come out to Martindale for the weekend, they could stay in their motorhome or
Okay.
their RV.
I'll make it.
because there's less than
Because
40.
they're camping on their private property at that point, but not operating. a
Okay, so
campground.
I'm gonna throw a wrinkle, because here's the issue we had, that came up at the river committee, was like, okay, so you've got this person who's got three, it doesn't matter. Someone lives in Austin, and you've got an RV there, they have to have the ability or the plan for them to move it when it floods.
That's a requirement under a flood damage prevention ordinance.
So that becomes, that's the necessary evil for having this, is that you've got one person who's got, in particular, in this area here, we had a flood issue. The concern for the river committee was, hey, you got three of them, who's moving those three?
Oh, trust me, I got into it with those people over there.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, that's a concern, is because that becomes a projectile that goes down the river.
Yeah.
Is that
You know,
14 consecutive days?
And it had to be, we went over like how quickly it had to be.
It's gotta be, so if you just use it on weekends,
You can't have it,
you'd be
like, you
covered
cannot
short.
have, You know.
Storage or camping at that
If you
point.
put steps to it, now it's
That's
become a
long as not
permanent
14
and that's what we were trying to define, the same thing Jared's getting to, we we're trying to get to a permanent structure. If you attached it where it can't be removed, you know, and then you now have a house.
So Jared, let me ask you this. real
I mean,
quick.
you're attacking it in a different way, but same concept.
So there's one I already took James over to look at, right? Him and I went around and today, he was here looking at stuff. So the place in Butterfly Meadows, that's one we want to talk about, right? About two or more. So he has a motorhome sitting there and he pulls up and pulls his travel trailer, parks next to it. But now he has two, right? And that motorhome, I believe, is now hooked up to the septic. I'm not 100% certain.
I think it is.
I believe it is. This one is not. He leaves with this. So is that, now he comes here for 5 days with this one and then leaves within the 14 days or what, how are we going to address that?
The presence of two or more recreational vehicles on our property is evidence of a campground.
Well, is that for less than 14 days or more?
No.
Anytime.
Period?
That's
Presence-
considered a campground.
Period.
That's considered.
Two or more is a campground.
Okay.
And so if you don't want your RVs and your trailers being determined to be a campground, go store them off-site somewhere.
Gotcha.
You know, and he came more than a year ago, bought that property, and so I don't know when he's gonna.
I think
build a
he's building,
house.
there's all kind of stuff, little stuff going on continually. You know, I just think there's little stuff going on.
Oh.
He's not in no hurry to build it. I would say he's probably building it over on his own time and on his own time.
He put the septic system in.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. For example, when I was remodeling my house, I lived in my travel trailer, my camper for about 3 months. So,
You'd have to get a permit.
yeah, that way, could some individual say, hey, I'm remodeling my house, can I bring my camper here more than 2 weeks? Could you, at that point, ask for a permit or a zoning, you have to get a zoning variance, right? A temporary zoning okay, they have to go through the city to get permitted or variance.
It would have to be a zoning variance granted by the Board of Adjustments or the planning and
So
zoning.
if I want to say, hey, it's gonna take me 5 months to build my house, I can live in my travel trailer for 5 months.
But you're gonna have to go through
You have to get a
variance.
variance. You have to get a variance, okay.
What about if someone over here has a hip camp that they rent their space out on the river for RVs or trailers to come? And it's not 14 continuous days, but it could be 14 days within a calendar year? Or does this address short-term use of hip camp or renting out your facility on a short-term basis to make money?
As long as it's not more than
We
14,
haven't-
So,
14 continuous.
so if,
Because we've got
So
that
that's what
going
he's
on
doing.
right.
He's letting his friends come over, whomever, he rents out spots over here. Me and that guy got into it big time.
rents out spots or rents out.
Or let people
At
come
Arlene Lane,
right here.
on Arlene Lane.
Yeah.
So
And,
Campground.
grade 2 or more.
There you go.
So if it's a singular recreational vehicle.
I'm saying one.
No,
No, let's consider it a hypothetical. How well would this interpretation hold up under the hypothetical? You're saying, the hypothetical scenario you're proposing is one a recreational vehicle, either by itself or in conjunction, being stored with a single family residence or by itself in a vacant lot.
Hmm.
And then it gets rented out on a regular basis.
No, people are coming as a hip camp place and they come for the weekend and bring it with them and then leave. Bring it with them and leave over repetitive weekends to where they are basically renting out their vacant lot on a
Just
continual
one.
weekend basis, just one at a time.
Oh, that is something that we would want to classify as a campground.
I
'Cause
think it is.
if they're renting an RV space for a fee on a short-term
Hmm.
basis or on any basis, if you're providing a camping facility for a fee, you're a campground. And a campground is only allowed in the commercial area. We can add that on
Have
here.
that verbiage.
Because I was telling you the other day, there were 3 campers there, and then when I went to walk park with Sam, I only saw 1, and then a camper that you don't see him very often anymore. The the pop-up.
High-low.
There was a pop-up and then a RV.
That RV has
So-
been there, and it's been camped there for over 6 months. It's permanent, and that pop-up one's been there, has come and gone.
Yeah.
That one has come and gone, but it's been there most of the time.
So I think the way that you've explained this makes really good sense. Is there a reason to have an ordinance that would directly talk about RVs, or would that be redundant?
On what kind of basis?
So we would,
Well, because, like the belief, when I started looking, there's this belief that RVs are illegal, are against code in the city limits. When I started looking, and this is why I started talking to Jared about it. And there isn't, I did not see a specific ordinance that specifically addressed RVs.
Hmm.
There's no section that says recreational vehicles. That's what I'm getting at.
What if someone is hooked up one vehicle to a sewer cleanout for less than 14 days? That's fine,
I've got a hypothetical for you,
That's fine.
Jared.
based on this.
Less
Yeah,
than
they're-
14 days.
The concept is they have someone visiting, and they're getting them visit. Anytime they start renting it out, they're a campground.
Got a minute? Let you finish your.
But
so offering a place for a recreational vehicle to park for the purpose of temporary residency or camping in consideration of a fee is considered a campground, allowable only with an approved specific use permit in a commercial zoning district.
What number is that?
So I just wrote it. It's going to be
Oh.
right after.
Sounds good.
Because,
his
We're on-
brain waves
we're on
go right to the
different
computer.
we're on different computers.
I've got a hypothetical. Say again, I'm building my house, I'm living in it, and after, say, 13 days or 14, the 14th day, I'll move it off. Say at 14 days, I'll move it off the property overnight, and I come back. Would you be in compliance? Because you'd be moving off the property for a day, or one night, or 2 days. I'm just asking.
Well, it's true. It could.
Because that's what I would do.
The Reno River Committee is
Exactly what I would do. I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna take a trip for the weekend. I'm gonna take my camper. I'm redoing my house.
Every other weekend.
What?
You'd have to leave every other weekend.
Why's that?
You want to hit 14 days.
But I'm gonna say, so if you hit the 2 week, yeah, you're right, every other weekend. So as long as you moved it every 2 weeks for a day or whatever, or moved it off the property, you'd be in compliance. Is that correct?
Where you can almost just move it off the property. It doesn't say how long you have to.
If you're only temporarily, say, if you're in a situation where you leave for all intents and purposes, leave it there for a month or permanently, but you take it, you live in it here, but you go on weekend vacations elsewhere, and you come back and you live back here. Let me see how that would school up, how would that hold, all right there. So I would still consider that a continuous occupation. Even, we might make a carve out of a,
Within a 30-day period, you can only have this RV vehicle.
That's how we were handling.
Because that's what I would do if I was in that situation.
No,
I'd say,
we were doing exactly what you said. We were taking about so much, you can only have it on premise so many days in a period.
Yeah,
And that was,
Or in a
that was
90-day
the
period.
That was
What
the
is
way
a
to define it.
campground? Oh, okay, so you'd be there for 2 weeks.
So,
but then you'd have to
yeah, so
leave
the guy trying to just cheat the system. The way we did it, as you can't have more than 14 days in a 90-day period or whatever,
Oh, so we'd have to write that into the ordinance.
kind of like a catch-all.
Interpretation, not an ordinance.
But in a way, Mike is right. That's, oh, well, you may have changed it where it says 14 days, but you could leave for a day and come back and start the 14 days again.
yeah, that's all I'm at, yeah.
you have to leave for 30 days in between your 14 days.
That's not in there.
That's how, well, no, to what, Matt,
Oh, but you're gonna write that in. You have to clarify that.
Yeah.
So you'd have to leave for 30 days. Then you could do, so if you do that 2 weeks, or you live in it for 2 weeks, you have to leave for 30 days.
That's good.
But could somebody come in and say, well, I'm, because I've been through this. It's like, I want to build my house, it's gonna take 6 months. Is there any way I could
Yeah, get a variance.
That's where that
Get
varies.
a- you get a
Well,
var- you
that's how that
get a
works.
var, or zone, he said a zoning change? Just to
He
get a,
has to
Get a
be
variance.
limited for like
But-
6 months while he was building his
It's
house.
difficult with those
That's been
variances,
over a year.
because they usually.
So, I mean,
just
should
about
we-
setbacks.
should we allow something in there for some individual that, building a house and they want to,
So now you know it's illegal. Because you can only have
Thinking
one.
maybe like a
12
But
permanent.
you'd have to say if it's longer than 14 days, you gotta.
You
but
must.
see, the reason I'm saying, I'm going through this with a property I'm buying. They don't allow, they allow RVs if you're building.
Oh,
So-
yeah, I know.
So, and they allow self-propelled motorhomes.
was that one and open the new one?
A lot of times families are-
And I believe they allow
and wanna
they
keep
allow
their
motorhomes
parents
because
close.
a motorhome has to be registered and road legal. What they didn't want, what their intention was subdivision, they didn't want people parking a travel trailer there permanently, I guess, All right, I'm all set.
There you go. It's on A, and then I added D, and then made the revision to 30 days on A.
Okay.
Let's see. He added something here on B,
To 2A
2A. Okay.
and 2D.
If 30 day, okay. 14 days or more. 30-day period. I'm remembering Jan where I'm reading this out loud as we're all sitting here. Matthew, that's what that.
So I added on A within a 30-day period.
Okay.
Clarify that issue of coming and going. And then you want to scroll down to D. There's D.
Now, we're gonna say nothing about hooking up to the sewer clean out then, because really you shouldn't have a RV hooked to a sewer clean out.
I don't care.
You don't care.
That takes care of that.
Well, but that's a sanitary issue too.
I mean-
I think, frankly, I would prefer it hooked up.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yeah, because if they're up that, you don't
You
want
don't want to
to.
dump it on the ground.
They might be releasing it into the river.
Real quick, so we could address, like you talk about.
Yeah, just talk about what Cody had, that Cody had that Airstream was right back there by the river.
First,
It's been there for years until he just moved it,
Good story.
years.
So-
What was living in it?
Back to what he was talking about on the river,
Oh, he has so many.
if they have to prove, do we have that? They have to prove they can get that travel trailer out of there in case of a flood.
That's in the flood damage prevention.
It is in there.
It's here.
And does it talk about they're responsible for removal?
It's,
No,
that's the language there.
Okay.
site.
The river committee was trying to clean that up a little bit because
Can I mean, we're,
But chapter 153 is outside the bounds of zoning interpretation.
this is one thing I've seen in the 15 flood. There are 2 travel trailer frames that are still on the river that have never been removed. The state will not move them. So I mean, we probably should add something in there. If your travel trailer gets washed downstream, you are responsible for removal of that.
You want to start a whole investigation for that?
We do it. Couple.
I mean, that's a problem because
Whoever
that's,
owns that land that it's on is.
but the problem is, no. The problem is that frame's gonna go down on somebody else's property, not his. It's gonna wash
I understand
downstream.
that, but I'm saying-
So if you're a landowner downstream, you're gonna be stuck with a mobile home, a travel trailer in your backyard.
So there's a way that they do that. So the law says, if you got some stuff dumped on your property, then they call me. I go out there, I run the VIN number on it, and I contact the insurance company and say, hey, here's your vehicle. And the insurance company usually comes in and removes that. Where those are, I don't know why no one's done that.
Right upstream of Don's Fish Camp.
We had that. a million
It's been
times.
there since 15.
Yeah, we had a million times when we brought it to the river. Those happened all the time.
Is the VIN number on the frame?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's because it's right there. It's never been removed.
Yeah, I mean, they may have chose not to remove it, or for some reason, the landowner didn't remove it. That's just simple fix. You just call the insurance company, you look up through NICB and say, hey, here, you pay for this.
That's outside the bounds of being able to interpret
Yeah.
what's an allowable land use under Arizona.
Okay.
So that, I really wanted to talk about that because, this RV thing has really mushroomed and.
So here's what's
Well,
happening.
we're down to 2 at the church.
We talked about it. No, isn't there 3? I saw 3 there.
Oh, did we again?
I think there's 3.
There has been 3 for
So
a while
I
there.
may be wrong and maybe move 1 out. But, so I was hesitant about enforcing this stuff a long time ago. We talked about it before because I had the 2 vehicles, right? Our vehicles are gone, so I'm ready to do it. The fire department, I told those guys, get your vehicle out here, man. You can't be having that junk sitting here, and I'm going to enforce it on here because that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to say the same thing. If I go over to the church and say, hey, man, you need to move this stuff, it can't be here. They're going to say, what about this junk vehicle here? So the fire department's done really good. They got 1 vehicle left and they're fixing to get rid of that. So I'm ready to go enforce that. One I'd like to do someday is probably drive around with some folks and let's look at some stuff and interpret that, because I was telling the mayor about a place on Plains, and we just found this out because of animal running at large. There's 1 main house the guy owns and rents it out to several different families. And now these are probably undocumented people, right? And then he has a storage building over here to the left that's hooked up to the septic that some undocumented persons live in. And in the back, there's another one. So he's renting out to probably 4 or 5 different families on that 1 spot.
One
So-
septic.
Yeah. So what you're saying here is 1 house.
He's breaking the accessory use.
Right.
In fact, let's be frank, that entire, I think it's Indian Court, one of them, the whole dang development it's on 1 lot. So like the whole lot of them they all have to go.
Well,
I just haven't made that a priority enforcement area.
Okay.
Well, and when
because,
they
I mean,
move
I don't wanna
those mobile
be
homes, they
responsible
can't
for
put mobile
unhoused.
homes back.
That's just what I was thinking with that, and just in driving through. And then there's some places, and right, that's a whole unethical thing here. Different side of the coin, similar type issue over here on 1979, where those families have probably multiple houses on 1 lot that have been there for generations, and that's just the way it is. And if we're gonna enforce it down here, we're probably gonna have to enforce it over there, but that's generational. But this is my house.
Many of those lots, I think, have gone through somewhat subdividing
Yeah.
and things, or you'll see little squares taken out of a larger lot, and kind of up by the house. But
It has been done.
There's a lot of little lots over there, and it's all grandfathered in for the zoning. I know that. It says R1, but it's grandfathered. It says right on the plat, on the zoning plat, grandfathered in on this area.
Oh, does it,
Oh,
grandfather?
yeah.
So really, so that's good to hear. So if I'm down here enforcing it over here, he's gonna say, what about 1979?
well, when we get to some of these enforcement mechanisms, if we're looking at an area for enforcement, like an issue, I want to do like by like at the same time. So that's why primary focus has been substandard structures only within a flood hazard area. Because if we do substandard structures beyond, we probably have 40-something structures in the city that would start coming down on that.
Yeah.
Maybe more. And so we don't have the resources to go after all 40, but we might have the resources to go after like the 8 or 9 that are in the flood hazard.
Flood hazard, I agree.
So, start there.
Yeah.
On this issue with the RV vehicles, we go to enforce RV vehicles, we're enforcing it across town. We can't just single out the church, can't single out somebody in Butterfly Meadows, House of Mansion. I don't care where you are, if we're going to be enforcing
Yeah.
this, it's gotta be enforced the same for everybody at the same time. I agree. And then
I agree.
as you get to, when we're getting to accessory use structures, the same one, it's gonna have to be the same story, you know, if we're gonna enforce Plains Drive, then we'll also have to enforce 1979, we'll also enforce Northwest River Road, you know, and all down the list, wherever it is, so.
When will
That's
this
part of
be?
where we need to make sure that we're in sync, we're talking with our attorney, and we know we're on the same page on enforcing these things in a way that we're being equitable to everybody, and we're not being discriminatory in our enforcement, because that can happen if you're.
Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that.
Well, and at the church, the chickens aren't a code violation. That was one thing. I guess the rooster's annoying, but it's not a code violation. So, you know, she might talk to them and say, hey, that rooster's waking me up at 4 o'clock in the morning or something.
Well, they can't do anything about it. I mean, there must be something in some ordinances of a city that you cannot have more than 1 rooster or 2. I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone could just.
It just
Well, they
has
should only have
12
one.
chickens.
Yeah, I never have more than 2 roosters there. It'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need more than 1.
And the trampoline is for the kids. She didn't like the trampoline.
Just Barry.
What's wrong with that? Except they scream and yell all the time when they're playing on it. It's like, oh my gosh. It's like.
They're kids. They're kids. So, and grass, everybody's struggling with grass, with a few exceptions, you know.
They're doing better about
They're
the
doing
grass.
better.
They're cutting it now. They're doing better. What about rebuilding vehicles in R1 where the Hamilton and Paul across the street from me, he's constantly whirring and grinding and cutting and doing all this noise of rebuilding vehicles. But Paul and Diane's house though would probably be okay because it's mixed use there. Is that considered a mixed use
Well,
function?
is it a business though?
Well, he's doing it and he's redoing the vehicles and then selling them.
Well, I think it's more of a
Oh,
hobby.
the hobby, okay.
Is
And this-
he doing it late at night or anything?
Oh, all night, all the time. And a blower. He loves to blow.
Oh, yeah, that dude blows every freaking day.
Every day,
Twice a
but,
day, he's out there with his blower.
but
Well, you
is,
know, poor Catherine's got to deal with my little barking dog all the time.
but is Bill Hamilton a hobby too then? He's rebuilding Porsches or whatever
He
he's
used to.
doing? Is that a hobby?
So you can
You know,
have a
I
home
think-
occupation.
No.
You can have a home occupation, but it has to be 95.
It has to be what?
It can only be employing people who live at that structure, so, or that home.
Well, then that would apply then.
That's 01 definitions. And then scroll down to public nuisance.
Then
There,
that's,
there has been concerns raised in the past regarding people who have mechanic shops in the city and whether they have employees that exist that come to the shop for the purpose of their work. That would not be an allowable home occupation under our zone.
but if they're doing it by themselves and they live in the structure, then it sounds like it's fine. Okay, that's fine.
So this is where the public nuisance on animals gets a little, the definition has to be unreasonable annoyance So is a rooster an unreasonable annoyance
Yes,
that disturbs ordinary sensibilities?
yes.
If it is, we have to be able to document that it is. And in order for it to be enforced against as a public.
Tell that to Barry to get out and start recording it in the morning or whatever, the rooster.
Man,
crowing.
And it's
She's communicating with her, I'm not. Well, I talked to her.
it's plausible that Barry could, if that's who this is, you mentioned, they can also sue them privately as a private nuisance. They don't have to get the city involved. They can handle it through a civil lawsuit.
Hmm.
I'm tired of pissing people off. I get I get some ugly
So-
texts, so.
What was that one you were quoting as a nuisance for the rooster?
This is,
A public nuisance?
95 is our chapter regarding animal control.
Okay.
And then, the
One.
nuisances are prohibited under chapter 9508.
So we could give them a warning to the church pastor and say, hey, your rooster's really causing havoc in the neighborhood.
Is that foul?
I don't think so.
Just couldn't help yourself, did you?
I don't think chickens and roosters counts as foul.
Try it.
It's not to fly, but be foul. I don't know. Roosters can kind of fly.
Are you staying for the town hall meeting about the park, the trail?
I wasn't planning to.
Okay, I'll go.
This is the meeting about the.
This is
the
more
grant.
for this is more for feedback for the engineer as he does his designs.
Are you going?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go
I hope
because
somebody comes.
Do you name me there?
You know, I don't know. I sent a lot of emails.
Where's that?
Right here,
Oh, right here.
What time?
6:30.
No.
Thomas Turk will
Can
be
we
here.
somehow put in here a littering ordinance in the city? So we don't have to go through illegal dumping? Or just kind of talk about that or no?
It's not on the agenda, but it's something that we can look at. If you have a model ordinance that you're able to find that says,
Exactly what you said in the other one, that's it, it's littering, period. Someone disposes,
so,
In the
oh,
parks.
in the parks.
the one that's in the park, same in the city.
So the other area where we have,
And then the nuisance, the sound, if we can do the exact same thing in the city, because I get complaints of music.
It's 65.
It don't matter to me what y'all make it, but something that we can enforce, you know.
I like
Said
65.
decibel, like just how we did in that past conversation. 65 is kind of low.
I like it.
but it has to be 65 from where they're complaining about it.
51.
Yeah, not from the source, but from where
Is
your house is, where you're listening.
65.
it ever about the music on Friday and Saturday night then?
I've got some of the music on Friday and Saturday night.
65. I can't do 55. I can do 65.
Because it's pretty low.
So there's two things here, Tommy, that we can look at. So within our solid waste ordinance, it has provisions regarding the placement of solid waste. And then 5104, and it requires the services.
Right, so read that right there. So this is what we sort of, placed on the premises or outside the building, not on the side of the road. So if someone dumps something on the side of the roadway in a ditch, we don't have nothing to.
Oh, because it's not in their property.
Correct.
That's the issue we're running into.
Yeah, they need to be addressed. They're dumping all the time. If you can catch,
We went to the state, local government code for that one.
But if it's not on some, it's tricky. So are we creating a criminal liable duty for somebody to take care of something that's not on their property?
No, so let's say I'm following you on the road right now and you throw something out your car window.
Yeah.
What'd you do in the city?
Litter.
No littering ordinance. There's no state law for littering. There's a state law for illegal dumping.
There's no state law for the.
Really?
What?
What's the difference between legal?
What's the difference between littering and illegal dumping?
Huh?
The amount?
The amount, you gotta go with, you gotta weigh it, there's all kind of things.
So,
So it is legal to litter in Texas?
wait, so you drive down to Highway 80. You see me throw this plate out of my window,
You're illegal dumping, you're dumping.
dumping. What's the difference?
Really not, I gotta say it's less than 5 pounds or whatever it is.
And that's how you're measured.
And then it's a state law, so I can't really write you a ticket. It's a state law.
So what can you do about it?
I can arrest them. So I can write them a ticket, but, so, are we recording this thing?
Yeah.
And there's someone watching.
Do we have a lot of persons on Zoom now? Okay.
And identify.
You know, since this is probably not.
Yeah, I'll just tell you, no, so
Let's talk about this at a different time.
okay, because it's not part of the thing, right?
All right. I think we've got a good idea about the memorandum.
Well, let me, oh, we can't talk about garbage anymore then?
We shouldn't even have started.
Unless it relates to the park.
Yeah.
What if someone has a bag of garbage that they dumped in the park and this has happened to me where the garbage cans have been filled with garbage from residential garbage, and I think I've talked to you about it, where you open the bag and you see the addresses on envelopes of where the garbage possibly generated from. And I think we've spoken about it, that even though you find garbage in the garbage can that has an address where it came from, you have to almost see that person doing it at the time that they did it to enforce it.
Yeah, because you can't enforce a law against a house, right? So that address, I can't go write that address a ticket. You don't know that Billy Bob from that address put that trash in that.
Or it could have been Mary Sue or.
Correct. So that, you got a person did then and there intentionally and knowingly, right? You can't say a house did then and there intentionally and knowingly, because then or not. You have to go with the person. And so I have to be able to articulate the person. And that's sort of what we had before, where what you'll do is you'll come to me and say, hey, I opened up this trash. I found a bag of trash. It probably weighed 25 pounds. I'll need a statement from you. I opened up this trash. Here's a picture of it. And I found that Tommy Ward's name and address and everything else was inside there. I found it on 3 or 4 different things. Now, what I'll do is I'll initiate an investigation, go to that house. Hey, Tommy, did you dump this stuff in the house or out in the park? And you know what? I had it in my car and it was with my park trash or whatever else, and I put it in there. Okay. No harm, no
A
foul.
warning almost.
Probably.
Okay. Okay.
Or, hey, I'm constantly going by there and that's the only place I can afford a trash can, so I always put it there. 'Cause that's, and then you write them a ticket.
Okay. Because I also see it too, where a lot of garbage, which I don't mind, that people pick up out of the river, they dump in the garbage cans at the park, but that's permissible, even though it didn't generate, whatever, that's fine. Because it's getting garbage out of the river, so that's fine.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. So when does this happen? When it's an action thing? Or-
So, I wrote this today, sitting here. I've gone through with the mayor and we want to discuss it with city council. Because I think you guys had good insights, observations and hypotheticals that we want to make sure that we can address and make sure that this was ironclad and good to go. At this point, I'll send it off to the chief and let him do good things with it. And then also the city attorney, in case we have something where we want to take a civil action to, prevent somebody from, get a judgment from the court that says you are not allowed to do this anymore, in addition to any criminal citation that might be issued.
Okay,
Anything else?
we can be adjourned.
I looked at them.